Sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan. Rochester. An Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Gene's a big-timer, a social misfit. Clueless to the title of the biggest buskeg hits. Chuck Munchie's goons have the last say. So thanks for your time, Mr. Mayo. Danger likes his cold ones and he likes his bears. But this is Rochester, cute Francesa.
Oh, who cares?
He's critical of Sean, he's critical of Alan. Of course he married Sandy, cause she's Italian. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Right out the gate, I know that the executive producer, who may be listening right now, the executive producer, big fan of true crime podcasts.
Yes, very much so.
I'm going to tell you right now, I feel like we have a true crime story brewing on our hands here in the sports bar. Now, it's no secret. Your boy has been dealing with some seasonal allergies the last week and a half or so. I've said it on the air. You could probably even tell by my voice. I'm a little bit congested.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm battling, and I'm fine, and I'm good, and we're pushing through it. But you need tools for the trade. If you're going to be battling the seasonal allergies, you got to have your cough drops ready. You've got to be drinking your herbal remedies. You've got to have a box of tissues holstered at all times because you never know when you're going to need it. And we're equipped here in the sports bar. Our studio is wonderful.
You're going to get a response I didn't expect, but I'm going to bring it to the air. When it comes to you complaining about your allergies, the executive producer, and I'm going to paraphrase here.
No, go ahead.
You're being soft. Stop being so soft. Tell Danger he's being soft.
How'd that bottle of wine taste on Friday night? I'm wondering if the executive producer enjoy that bottle of wine I sent over to your table for your 25th anniversary.
You're a little soft, buddy.
I'm just pointing it out. I'm very self-conscious about how I present, and if I'm presenting less than 100%, I want to be up front and tell you, hey, I'm not 100%. I'm here, and you could say I'm being soft, but the ragweed kicked my ass. The ragweed knocked me on my ass this fall. I'm battling through it, and I'm better every day, a little bit better. But the tissues, that's the thing that's key. And, you know, in some offices, it's a struggle to find a pen. In some offices, some things don't work, and you know, there's inconveniences in the oven. Our studio is our safe haven. This is our for 3 hours. This is beautiful. We really have nothing to complain about. But tissues can be hard to find in the studios here at High Falls. Now, I know where they stock them now. So I've found this treasure trove of supplies, and I'm like,
the
okay,
supply closet is unlocked.
That's right. Anytime I need a box of tissues, I know where to get them. And I brought one down, fresh box, yesterday because we were out. Just yesterday. I came in early this morning, to do Tommy Tells It Like It Is in the break room. And I came into our studio because I had some other voiceover work that I had to do. And while I was in here, I noticed fresh box of tissues from yesterday, gone.
Okay, so review. Wasn't any Amherst hockey or Fisher basketball or anything like that. We're not in that season.
As far as I know, nobody was in this studio.
This should be an easy crime to solve here, Danger. Just like when somebody took the part of my my headset.
Oh, we've been through this before. Yeah, somebody took your headphone adapter, and we went through it. And I believe, did we find the culprit of that?
Yes, we did.
Was it Kimmy or was it Breezy?
It was an employee who no longer works here.
Oh, well, that's the karma.
Yeah.
You steal from the sports bar, you'll get yours.
I mean, I don't think he was let go for that reason, but just kind of coincidentally.
I'm saying he was let go for that reason.
Okay.
I'm saying he was let go for that reason. It's disrespectful.
Well, have we looked over? So the first stop in our new studio.
Yeah.
We're looking right now live at the WBE, and they're doing the Radiothon thing. I don't know if this is the day to go over and confront Billy Kidd.
I will not throw any allegations towards our fine sister station who are doing, and Gene is scoping it out right now. He's looking. I will not throw any allegations at our fine sister station who, on a day like today, they're doing their radiothon for our friends from the Ronald McDonald House, the Ronald McDonald House Charities. They're doing an amazing job today. And by the way, if you're so inclined, I believe there are some really cool Buffalo Bills memorabilia items that are up for auction through this as well.
That box is right where TJ Sharp sits.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Whoa.
Not cool.
Thought she was a friend of the show. Steve, TJ. I mean, we're family. We've broken bread together. We've shared meals. You're just going to come into our space, snag a fresh box of Kleenex when your boy needs it. It's a tool of the trade. I'm not saying that. I'm not alleging anything. I'm not going to say that that's exactly what happened. Not on a day where they're doing such good for the community. We can't do that. They are raising thousands of dollars for a very, very good cause. But if that is indeed true, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I don't think it's very sanitary, right, to be sharing a box of Kleenex, right? Because you're kind of grabbing it around the corner. I don't know.
Well, if that's true, well, there will be a confrontation at some point. This isn't over. Bo, if you're listening, I want you to get control of your crew. Disrespectful. It's okay. I got another box.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good for the next 3 hours.
Listen, I mean, if they found the secret stash, why don't you check the beer?
Oh!
Is anybody actually taken from your allotment?
We're good.
Okay. That would be a bigger problem, I would think.
Then I would really be upset.
We'd be upset.
Then I would really be upset. No, that hasn't happened yet. And I wouldn't expect that to happen on a day, again, where they're doing such good work. Can you imagine? The B studio is right next door to us. It's Friday. It's a beautiful day outside. We're ready to kick off our sports weekend. Little restraint by your boy just now, not taking a beer, cracking one open while we're on the air here and just enjoying the early Friday afternoon. But we've got some people that we have to be impressionable around here with all the good that's being done next door at the beach.
That, and we got other things going on tonight. You brought it up. We should mention, Jimmy asked us to mention, there's a Josh Allen jersey and tickets to the Patriots game that's right now up for auction.
Yeah.
And you can go to that on the Be a Hero website. Just go to the WBEE website and you can find your way there.
I'm not going to allege that they are the culprits of this crime on a day where they're doing so much good for our community. But when the time is right, I will confront TJ and I will say, hey, couldn't help but notice. It was there one night, gone the next morning. Not many people going in and out of our studio. And you just so happen to have a full box of tissues right here in front of you. Care to explain? Maybe on Monday.
Maybe.
To be continued. Bo, if you're listening, you get your crew in order. And good job today, buddy. Good job with everything you're doing for the Ronald McDonald House and the Ronald McDonald House Charities. It's their radiothon. I shouldn't bring it up on a day where they're doing such good for the community.
That's the focus today.
That is the focus.
That is the focus.
That is the focus. And if you're a fan of the Bills and you are so inclined, check out those auction items right now. You can go to our sister station's website at WBEE.com. We've got a great show lined up for you here. As I said, it's a beautiful day. We're ready to start the weekend. Good weekend of sports in front of us, man. Lots of football to get to, including Friday Night Lights tonight. Gene and I doing Friday Night Rivals for the CW Rochester in Hilton with Hilton and McQuaid. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a scene.
Hilton, the hometown of our producer, Dan Drummy, the Dan DeLorean.
Yeah.
I think, like, if he was out there tonight, that should have been a cutaway. Like, ladies and gentlemen, Dan DeLorean.
It would be like Brett and Kirk looking at Catherine and her mom. What's her mom's name? Dee Dee Bonner. Dee Dee Bonner.
Yeah, Dee Dee Bonner.
Yeah, and that right there, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, that is the Dan DeLorean. Oh!
He's the
super producer,
finest bounty hunter of audio in all the universe.
That's right,
Dan Drummy.
That's right. And if you're a little boy recording a podcast somewhere in your mom's basement, that's the guy you want to. That's the guy you wanna be like.
I think that I want him to come out to one of our events so, like, you could meet Dan, get Dan's autograph, take a selfie with Dan. He'd be totally not into it. And that's
No,
what would make it great.
yeah. But people do ask us, like, where's the Dandalorian? They think Derek the Pizza Dude is the Dandalorian.
No.
Not the Dandalorian.
No.
Derek the Pizza Dude is Derek the Pizza Dude. Dandalorian, he should come on. We'd have the camera crew pan over to him. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, you are looking live at the Dandalorian, the finest producer, super producer, bounty hunter of the finest audio in the galaxy. And let me tell you, if you're a kid working in a basement, in your mom's basement, working on a podcast, that is good. Oh, hey!
When you're a quarterback at Alabama, you see that lovely lady there. She does go to Auburn, I want to admit that. But she also, Miss Alabama, and that's A.J. McCarron's girlfriend, okay? And right there on the right is Dee Dee Bonner. That's A.J.'s mom. Wow, I'm telling you, quarterbacks, you get all the good-looking women. What a beautiful woman. Wow.
A.J.'s doing some things right down in
So if you're a
Tuscaloosa.
youngster in Alabama, start getting the football out and throw it around the backyard with Pop.
So if you're a youngster in Hilton, get in your mom's basement and start recording audio. Oh, wow.
How the world has changed, has it not? That's 2012. That's 12 years ago, Danger. 12 years ago. And now if you did that, you're suspended, or we might be suspended for just playing that.
Well, I'm making a comparison. We do not subscribe to the comments made by the legendary broadcaster Brent Musburger. And Kirk Herbstreit's done fine for himself. He came out of that unscathed. We do have a fine show for you this afternoon. Wow, we have a former NFL star joining us in the 4 o'clock hour. I'm excited to talk the lights out. Sean Merriman is going to stop by and share his thoughts on the Buffalo Bills through 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Merriman, lights out, linebacker, was one of the top, right? And then he joined the Bills in 2010. That was exciting for a little bit. So Sean Merriman will get his thoughts on this Bills defense. He's got some business interests we'll talk about, too. Sean Merriman joining us in the 4 o'clock hour.
And later on this hour, we've got fantasy football on the mind. We got Week 4 underway last night with Thursday Night Football on Prime. And Andy Barron's going to help you set your lineup for Week 4 and get you a win and closer to a fantasy championship.
Yeah, it's going to be that time coming up where people will be writing in to vent to Andy, and I would think the tight end position has just been right now. Like Laporta is dinged. Does Andy subscribe to the theory that Travis Kelce didn't put in the work in this offseason, or it will be this be the week that everything seems right?
McBride is out this week.
Yeah,
I mean
it's really. Oh, and by the way, what's going on with the 49ers? Like, if Christian McCaffrey is going to be out for an extended period of time, are you selling what stock you have, or maybe you buy low on the 49ers? I'm not sure what Andy would suggest on that. Andy Barron's Yahoo Fantasy coming up at the bottom of the hour.
We also have time for your calls at 866-4326, 585-8664-FAN. And we appreciate you stopping by however you may be listening or enjoying the show at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app when you find the Fan Rochester. Also on Twitter, at the Fan Rochester, our YouTube channel, streaming the video. Right now you can watch the show at the Fan Rochester, our YouTube channel, and on Twitch at the Fan Rochester as well. I gave my prediction this morning on Tommy Tells It Like It Is in the break room on CMF Gina, so it's not a surprise when I share with everybody now which direction I'm leaning. But you go ahead and share some of your thoughts here leading into Sunday night. When we look at everything that we know about both of these teams now through 3 weeks, we've got a lot of we're starting to gather these data points, and things can change quickly in the NFL. But through 3 weeks, you start to feel like, okay, this team is what they are, and this team is what they are.
Yeah, I would say this, that Baltimore, are they as bad? Yes, they won last week, but are they as bad as they've been? Are the Bills as good as they are? And what the Bills look like right now, they look like a team through 3 weeks that could win the Super Bowl. Don't get me confused here. You've got to go, of course, 17 weeks, and no one goes 17-0 in this league. I'm sorry. So along the way, you're going to stub your toe. This is a tough spot. Yes, in case you haven't heard, the Ravens are 20-3 in primetime under Harbaugh, and I think there is a cumulative effect. It's fantastic that Balin Spector and Cam Lewis and Jamarcus Ingram and Dorian Williams have all stepped up and done great things here, but this is Derrick Henry. and Lamar Jackson. And if the Ravens just do what they're good at, and can you finally get Isaiah Likely and or Mark Andrews involved, the forecast danger looks a little more promising. They're only saying 35% chance of rain on Sunday.
Okay.
But if it's a wet field, I think it's a tough spot for Buffalo, and I could see it coming down to a kick at the end here, one way or another. Does Tucker make one? Does Bass miss one? I think it's going to be low scoring. I'm going to go with the Ravens 24-21.
Okay. You mentioned John Harbaugh's record at home in primetime games as Ravens coach. He is 20-3. You mentioned earlier this week when we spoke with PJ Glasser, Lamar Jackson is 23-7 against the spread as a favorite of 3 points or less. And I believe the spread right now is at 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah. I don't care. I'm going Bills. I'm going Bills 27-21. There is something different about the way this season has started for this team. You could say that the rent is going to come due on the backup players, on the Balin Spectors and the Cam Lewises, and maybe this is the week where some of their weaknesses are exposed. But man, I keep waiting for that disappointment, and it just hasn't happened. And I know I keep talking about the vibes around this team, but I do think that it matters that you've got guys out there that just are so well versed in their job. They know where they need to be and how they need to play it, that even though they might not be as talented as the guy opposite them, they're going to do enough to slow them down or stop them. And Sean McDermott did a great job against Derrick Henry and the Titans last year. I know it's a different team. I know it's a different scheme and a different OC and just a different kind of physicality when you're playing the Ravens. But I think Henry will be a challenge, but I don't think Henry's going to go out there and do what he did to Dallas just last week. I don't think that's going to happen 2 weeks in a row. I do think Lamar will get a couple of touchdowns. I think Lamar will be a factor. Lamar could throw for one. Lamar could run for one. I could certainly see that happening. But I also see, if you believe in rational coaching, Joe Brady understanding that running the ball may be more problematic against this Ravens defense and leaning more on your guys and Josh Allen, getting the ball to his guys in space and exploiting that league worst Ravens pass defense.
That is probably the way I would draw it up if I'm Brady, that surely when you go on the road and you want to control the clock and blah, 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 you go up 14-0 or something like that. You go back to the last time the Bills were down there 3 years ago. It was actually the Bills falling behind 2 scores. They rally. They come out with a win. Is Baltimore built like that? No, they're the team that gets leads and then they kind of give it up because of their secondary. So to me, if you can kind of at least take that run element out of Baltimore, what do you have left? I want to see Lamar Jackson in the pocket trying to go after Christian Benford and Rasul Douglas. I don't think we talk enough about the Bills' corners. I mean, we're so focused on what the transition has been at safety and nickel corner and everything else, but the actual guys on the outside are doing a phenomenal job. And Zay Flowers and whoever, this is not the scary. Like you're going to face better tandems, Miami and the Jets and everything else. I think that, honestly, I think the Bills secondary could do well. I'm talking as if, though, danger, that would be the plan. At some point, Josh, do we bet on the fact that Josh Allen, for a 4th game in a row, is just going to take what they're going to give to him?
I kind of am.
Really?
Yeah, it's different. It's different this year, man. And maybe it's the hand. Maybe the hand is forcing him to play smarter, or he's more aware of he's not getting hit. He's taking what the defense is giving him. He's playing a more patient game. It's been a joy to watch, and it's the reason why he's right now the favorite to be MVP. And when we talked to Dan Fates yesterday, it was fun. I thought it was funny that Josh is calculating. He may come off as aw shucks and, the golden retriever that we all think he is, but when he's in a press conference and he says things, he's aware of what he's saying. When he's saying things like, hey, it's great to be on a team where stats don't matter and everybody eats and blah, 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 and everybody views that as a dig towards Stephon Diggs, whereas Allen will backpedal and say, no, I love Diggs. It's a dig. It is a subtle jab at Diggs. And when he says things consciously like Lamar Jackson is the 2-time MVP, you don't think Allen knows? I'm now the front runner for this award, and if our team is going to get to where we want to be, I've got to play at an MVP level. I think he's going to continue to play at an MVP level. I don't think Baltimore's defense should scare him.
If Baltimore's defense doesn't scare him, what would? The Jets? What out there are you saying, boy, this is going to be the one for Josh Allen here?
Yeah, I mean,
like through 3 weeks, it looks pretty shoddy in Baltimore.
The guy who has his number, and even Spagnuolo hasn't had his number entirely. Like, there have been games where Allen has looked fine against the Chiefs. But that's ultimately what it's going to come down to, right? If you project this out and you kind of look into the crystal ball.
I'm looking in the crystal ball. If the Bills come out of this next 3 games, okay, they took 2 of 3. If maybe the Jets is the one loss. Well, that's setting up that November 17th against Kansas City. I could see the Bills having 1 loss and the Chiefs having 1 loss. Yeah,
it's for playoff seeding.
Yeah, for seeding already.
That'd be great. It would be great. I actually need to see them fall on their face before I start believing that this is going to be a loss. I haven't seen it in, better than 6 quarters now, 8 quarters? No, it's been more than 8 quarters that we've seen this team. It's been 10 quarters, right? 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, the Arizona game, things started off a little slow, and you had a big error on special teams, or just a misassignment, I should say. Yeah.
10 quarters of pretty good football.
Outstanding football.
Yeah. So if that continues, they're going to be a real tough team to beat. Louis Riddick, earlier on earlier on Romy, explaining why he likes the Bills over the Ravens. Louis Riddick from ESPN.
Well, they'll have to hit another level against Baltimore because we know what their DNA is. We know what Lamar is. We know what John Harbaugh is as a coach. And we know what this organization expects as far as when they have big-time showdowns and how they expect to play. It's going to be physical. Buffalo will have to win the line of scrimmage like they have done all year long. That's where Baltimore lives. I expect Buffalo to go ahead, though, and show the NFL that they're for real. Very much so.
That's Louis Riddick, who was on the call against Jacksonville. So he saw some things against Jacksonville that he thinks will translate over to Sunday night's game in Baltimore. You'll be able to hear the action on the Fan Rochester. Our coverage starts at 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon, kickoff at 8:20 here on the Fan with Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio on the call. Up next in the sports bar, we've got Andy Behrens of Yahoo Fantasy. Let's set your week 4 lineups. Let's get you ready for a win this weekend. Andy Behrens will guide the way. Yahoo Fantasy next on the Fan.
You're listening. 50 The Fan, Rochester. If your mornings are missing that sports kick, let Maggie and Perloff save the day. Listen to 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester, weekday mornings. Because who needs more sleep when you can have sports excitement? The Fan, Rochester, Sports Update.
No surprises on the Buffalo Bills Friday injury report. Everyone good to go with the exception of Taron Johnson and Terrell Bernard, both ruled out. Head coach Sean McDermott on his counterpart, John Harbaugh.
Yeah, very well coached. John's had a lot of success for a number of years, and we coached together in Philadelphia for a number of years, and so I know he's a great coach, and not surprised what he's been able to do with that organization.
Bills and Ravens, our pregame coverage will begin at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Chris Brown, Eric Wood, Sal Capaccio will have your call Sunday night here on The Fan. We'll talk some fantasy football coming up next. Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy, joining us in the sports bar. Syracuse football looking to get back on the winning track. The Orange tomorrow at noon against Holy Cross. We got St. John Fisher football tomorrow. The Cardinals are at Wilkes. Our coverage will begin at 11:30. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Week 4 is upon us. You had some players in last night's Cowboys-Giants matchup. Maybe you're smiling today because of the output of Dak and CeeDee Lamb. Neighbors, certainly, and maybe you're frowning if you thought Devin Singletary would give you more. Nonetheless, we're going to look forward to Sunday and a full slate of action. Let's set your fantasy football lineups and welcome in our buddy Andy Behrens from Yahoo Fantasy to help us do just that. Any takeaways from last Thursday that we can apply for Week 5, Andy, before we talk about the full slate of Sunday games?
It's not much of a takeaway, but I think we can safely say that Rico Dowdle has the backfield in Dallas. Like, not full control of the backfield. It's still a committee, but he's clearly the head. He has out-touched, out-carried, out-gained Zeke Elliott to this point. He had the touchdown yesterday. I don't know that there's a ton of difference between those two players, to be honest, but whenever Dallas gets anything going on the ground, it's pretty clearly Dowdle. Also, try to find anything in life that you love half as much as Daniel Jones enjoys throwing to Wan'Dale Robinson on third down. That was crazy. If you're in a full PPR league, you probably want to. That guy's got to be rostered. I don't think there's a ton of touchdown upside there, but he's averaging almost 10 targets per week. This isn't going to stop. And they're still throwing to Neighbors too. Neighbors is a total star. So we love Malik Neighbors, but man, the volume for Robinson has been steady. Yeah,
Andy, it's getting close to that time of year where people will be writing into you, venting and complaining. And I would think the main topic would be tight end, and tight end. And there's a lot of situations right now that not living up to value. Can we start with Travis Kelce here, because certainly, not necessarily a first rounder anymore, but he's not living up to value. Are you buying into this narrative that he didn't put in the work this offseason? When do you think Kelce's actually going to, or will he actually snap out of this, Andy?
I actually think he's the easiest one to talk about because I think he's fine. I think he's had 3 quiet weeks at the wrong point in the season, and you wouldn't notice this if it happened in November, but everybody's up in arms about it now. He's getting open. That play they ran a couple weeks ago where they hit the tackle eligible for a touchdown. Travis Kelce is running free in the back of the end zone, celebrating before the ball is even caught, right? He's getting open. I don't think that's a huge issue. I think our problem is, he's not going to do the diva thing. He is definitely at a point in his career where he is in it for the deep playoff run. He is in it for Super Bowls, and he's just not going to complain week to week if he's getting 5 targets, 8 targets, whatever. I guess that's a concern. He's an older player, but again, if you try to isolate him and watch these games, it's the same old Travis Kelce. I'm not panicking in that respect. He's not hurt. I think he's in a pretty good spot this week against a banged-up Chargers defense. They're going to be without Derwin James, who's suspended, deservedly so. I think it's a good spot for him. I'd still play him. I've got him easily parked inside my top 5. The guys that we worry about are Mark Andrews is losing some snaps, losing some opportunities to Isaiah Likely, who looks maybe better. They're both great, but I'd be a little bit concerned about Andrews. Laporta is banged up right now. He did practice today. That's a good sign. We have some legitimate concerns, but I happen to think that Travis Kelce isn't necessarily one of them.
Yeah, and no Trey McBride. It looks like he's out already for this week as well.
Yeah.
So you're running a little thin. And no Evan Engram again this week. Looking over some of your work leading up to this weekend, Andy, one of the guys that you mentioned in an article that I wanted you to bring up and talk about a little bit more, expand on in Tennessee. Tell us why we can't afford to sit Tony Pollard at running back this week.
Yeah, man, he looks – I'm not going to say that he looks like a vintage Tony Pollard, who was 5.5 yards per carry and just absolutely electric runner. But, man, especially his first 2 weeks, he's looked really good. So, I don't know that the closing speed is necessarily there, but he's been super elusive. He's been, there's not a lot to love about Tennessee's offense, mostly because of the quality of quarterback play. But what a matchup for Pollard this week, too. He also hasn't, he's faced a bunch of pretty good defenses. He finally gets a cupcake. Miami's played, I don't need to tell you guys that Miami's defense has been non-existent at times. So it is a great spot for Pollard. I don't really see, I don't even think we know yet who Miami is. It's been Boyle and Tyler Huntley in practice. They're trying to get Skylar Thompson. There's no good option at quarterback for Miami. So there's no way that the run is going to be out of play for the Titans. I think there's a game where Pollard probably touches the ball 20 times. And again, he's been pretty explosive. Not going to be a surprise if he gives us 100 yards and a touchdown.
Andy, we love this sport because of its unpredictability. And right at the top of the list, Carolina tearing it up against Vegas last week. Nobody saw that coming, or practically nobody. But now we get Andy Dalton. The Andy Dalton revenge game, if you will, taking on Cincinnati. Are we feeling comfortable to hit the button here with Carolina? Is it just that simple, changing the quarterback?
Nobody's comfortable with Andy Dalton necessarily. And we know it's going to be a somewhat rocky ride, but he made a couple of great throws last week. And you really saw that offense, executing a couple of really nice concepts, and Andy Dalton didn't miss them. And he's one of the few quarterbacks who's given us a 300-yard, 3-touchdown game, and we're not saying no to any of those. I thought he looked great, and I thought it was, the performance was pretty damning for Bryce Young, right? Because there's no way you can look at that game and listen, Bryce Young is a young quarterback, and it's fine if he's not, as good as he's ever going to be right now. It's totally fine. But he was guessing early in the season, and he threw some balls that are just entirely regrettable throws, and we didn't get any of that from Andy Dalton. He was really good. And now he gets Cincinnati, and that is a defense that was just absolutely carved up by Jaden Daniels. We have some talent on Carolina. Deontay Johnson is a really good player. So there are some weapons there. I'm not going to be a bit surprised if Andy Dalton puts a couple of touchdowns on the Bengals. The Bengals now have a chance. The Bengals have been taking out everybody in Survivor, right? Half the field took the Bengals over the Patriots in week 1. I talked myself into the Bengals over Washington on Monday night a week ago, and of course it took me out. And now we're going to get a third game where people are looking at this and they're like, there's no way that Joe Burrow is losing to the Panthers. By the way, if Joe Burrow loses to the Panthers, now they're 0-4, and now, you're just about cooked. It is no, you don't usually come back from an 0-4 start to make the playoffs. So this is as close to a must-win as a very early season game gets.
Andy, if we're looking a little close to home here, Sunday night for us, we've got the Bills going to Baltimore, and it seems pretty clear-cut if you assume rational coaching that it would be a big Josh Allen in the passing game for the Bills, and that the Bills would struggle running the ball against the Ravens' run defense. When you're looking at these matchups, do you believe that the rational coaching will prevail and that you will see Josh Allen throwing to his receivers and a tough go of it for James Cook come Sunday night?
I don't think it's going to be a tough go for James Cook, because James Cook is, he's such a weapon, and they can find him as a receiver and he can make noise there. I think they're committed to getting James Cook going. He's looked awesome this year. Also, I happen to think that when a defense looks on paper like Baltimore looks right now. And by the way, these are not the Baltimore Ravens of last year. All those defensive coaches are gone. They're all in different places. Patrick Queen is gone. Like, it's not the same defense. But on paper right now, they have the number 1 run defense and the number 32 pass defense.
Yeah.
And usually when a team looks like that, it's telling you a lie. It's, that's a defense that is like robbing Peter to pay Paul and knows that it has some weaknesses. And, they're not elite at the thing that they look like they're elite at, right? Because the great defenses are basically top 10 in everything. The great defenses are like top 5, top 10 in everything. They're not lopsided like this. So I'm not terrified of the matchup for James Cook. I do think that the Ravens are good enough to keep Josh Allen passing. My goodness, what a game that was. And I also want to shout out Khalil Shakir as well, who he's caught every target this year. Like last year on pretty low volume, Khalil Shakir had the highest passer rating when targeted in the league. And there's always questions like, is that going to actually translate? If we give Shakir 100 targets, is it going to look like that? Well, he's perfect so far. He has a catch rate of 100%, couple of touchdowns, just absolutely flawless. And I know he's not like some deep downfield guy, but man, he's a yards after catch dude too. Like I think Shakir can finish, top 25 for fantasy purposes for the season.
Talking fantasy with Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy, our guest here in the Sports Bar. All right, there's a new running back situation. Maybe it's not a situation. How would you assess what's going down in Tampa? If Bucky Irving is still on your waiver wire, I would probably go get him, right, Andy? Is he going to get the bulk of the work? What do you think about this fourth-round running back that has turned some heads here through the first few weeks?
I can't wait to see if he actually leapfrogs Rachaad White this week. Like, if you have a minute, go search some social platform, go search the web for Bucky Irving highlights from week 3. They're insane. He had 2. One was actually a catch. One was a long run. He had 2 plays that are just the most cartoonish. Like that can't really be the NFL kind of plays where he jukes people to the ground. He juked Singleton so bad that he tore his ACL. Bucky Irving did some nasty things to people last week, and I absolutely believe in his talent. He moves in a way that is entirely unlike Rachaad White. I will say that, and I think it's glaringly obvious to everybody in Tampa right now. So yes, I think at some point, I hope it's this week, we're going to see Bucky Irving kind of leapfrog Rachaad White in terms of rushing usage. They really like Rachaad White as a pass protector. He's a very good receiving back, so I don't think he goes away. But man, you gotta with the kind of ability that Irving clearly has. I mean, it's not Achane from last year, but it's got that vibe. Like he's made some absolute wow plays that you just don't see from very many running backs, from very many players in recent NFL history. I think he's fantastic. So you got to find a way to get that guy 12 to 15 touches a game.
Andy, we're monitoring what's happening in Green Bay for fantasy purposes here, and Jordan Love and his availability and his practice and the injury reports. And I feel like it also impacts all of the other assets there offensively for the Packers. How are you dealing with Green Bay's offense here heading into Week 4?
I'd be really surprised if he doesn't play. I've got all the receivers ranked as if he's going to play. And I think this, Jaden Reed was a guy that you could start already because they scheme up fun scenarios and gimmicky touches for him. They'll give him the ball as a rusher. They'll put him in the backfield. They do a bunch of fun stuff with Jaden Reed, even with Malik Willis. So you weren't worried about him. But I mean, Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs have been unplayable without Jordan Love, and I think they're back in our plans. I think they are fully operational again, and we can use them. I'm assuming this is a huge game for Green Bay, because it gets late early in the NFL, and if you let Minnesota get out to a 4-0 start and you're sitting there at 2-2, that's rough. So I think he'll play. I think it's a really good sign that he was actually practicing last week and they held him out. So I'm pretty optimistic on Love. I hope that, what I want in this one is that LaFleur and Brian Flores matchup, because you talk about like two coaches on either side of the ball who have just been just been on heaters this year. I mean, I hope people remember when we get to maybe I said this last week, but man, I really hope people remember when we get to the end of the season, it's time to vote on Coach of the Year, what Matt LaFleur did in weeks 2 and 3 with Malik Willis. It was insane.
Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy, is our guest. Okay, number 1 overall pick, Christian McCaffrey, reportedly in Germany. That can't be good if that is true, Andy. So what would be your – I mean, is this the time to sell other parts of this 49er offense or buy low? I mean, where do you see this storyline going here with San Francisco?
I mean, I will say that I would not, if I'm a Christian McCaffrey manager and my team is off to like a 1-2 or 0-3 start, I am certainly trying to sell. I'm willing to take pennies on the dollar here. I need somebody that I can use right now. The vibes are bad. This is a little nugget that's, maybe you need a fantasy expert to tell you this, but across sports, when a player goes to Germany for a medical procedure they can't get in the U.S., that's a bad sign. It's a really bad sign. That turns out that's bad in the NBA. That's bad in the NFL. It's bad everywhere. We don't like it. I think you have to consider the real possibility that we don't see Christian McCaffrey until January. Like he must be thinking, how can I be part of this team's postseason run right now? I mean, it's not good if he's going to Germany for treatment. So yes, I think the short answer is if you've got him, you got to try to flip him for something. And somebody's going to be interested if you play in a league that has IR spots, right? Because you can just stash him and there's no cost. But you really got to recalibrate what you think you're going to be able to get in return for him. It's not going to be anything great, but it might be something that you're able to start.
Andy, what was your evaluation of Kansas City's backfield 1 week removed from Isaiah Pacheco's injury? Carson Steele, Samaje Perine. It was in Atlanta. They faced the Chargers in the late window on Sunday afternoon. What are your expectations?
Well, it looked exactly the way I thought it would, and I'm really a sucker for Carson Steele's style of rushing. It's not wise. It's not something that like young running backs should do. He so often seems like he's just looking for the next guy that he can run into, and that stuff is really fun. It doesn't always lead to long careers, but it's really, really fun. I enjoy watching him. But we're going to get Kareem Hunt back this week, and this is a huge open question. Like, I think Kareem Hunt is going to be active, and I think he's going to touch the ball. And last year, he was just about the least explosive rusher in the game. He looked done. He's up there in years. No yards. Like, he was way down on the leaderboard in terms of yards after contact per attempt, in terms of missed tackles. He didn't make anybody miss, and he usually went down in the arms of the first person who touched him. But he was also playing through injury. I think it was a sports hernia last year, so I want to give him credit for that, and I want to leave open the possibility that he is and was actually a better player, and now he's going to be healthy and he'll be able to show that. So I'm open to the idea that Kareem Hunt can take touches away from these guys, but for now, it sure looks like it's Steele's backfield.
All right, so everyone, it's another week where the Bills play not at 1 o'clock on Sunday, which means you don't have any excuse not to check out Andy Behrens and Fantasy Football Live. Tell everybody what time that launches on Yahoo, Andy.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. We're an hour before kickoff on Sundays, and we go over the latest injury information, who's active, who's inactive. We give you our spin on all the late breaking news. We take your questions. We tout players that we're irrationally high on, irrationally low on. It's a really fun show. I hope everyone checks it out.
Will the Bears find an identity against the Rams on Sunday, Andy? Indulge me for a second.
Oh man, this is the matchup I've been waiting for. The Rams give up almost 10 yards per pass attempt. Ooh. And for all the hand wringing nationally over Caleb Williams, I thought he showed a lot of really nice traits last week. He made some wow throws. He missed some throws again. I hear you. He missed Rome Odunze on a couple of long plays that would have been really fun. But I thought he really showed a lot. He gave us over 300 yards. It was his third damn game too. Is the thing. Like we're way too quick to make emphatic statements about the relative greatness of this player or that player. Like you got to give a guy like this time, and he's got a great matchup ahead of him. So I am cautiously optimistic this week.
All right, very good. Andy, enjoy your weekend. We'll catch up again next Friday. Appreciate the time as always, bud.
You too. Thanks, guys. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, Andy.
Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy, getting you set up for Week 4. Set your lineups. Get ready for a win. And then you come back to us here on Monday, and we'll talk about all the great plays that happened, all the moves that you made based on Andy's suggestions. Great stuff, as always. Yeah, he likes James Cook still being involved. I'm nervous about Cook. Like I'm nervous about Joe Brady trying to run the football. Now, the point that he made about the Ravens defense, that you've got the best rush defense but the worst pass defense, that the truth is probably somewhere in the middle there, and you're just not a good defense. Can Joe Brady unlock the key to being able to run the football like you want to against the Ravens, instead of just going right directly to, we're going to win this game on Josh Allen's arm?
I mean, sometimes like the run, like instead of handing it off, just little flare outs to Ty Johnson or Cook and checking it down. That's just as effective, sometimes not more. But funny how Andy bringing up Khalil Shakir. Like we were saying that over the summer. Like if you just took his last 6 games under Joe Brady and you put that over a full season, he's top 10 fantasy. Of course, the world doesn't work that way. Okay, well, now you get the opportunity to see what this looks like.
I think what's just remarkable, it's not necessarily his fantasy output or the volume that he's gotten. It's that if it goes his way, he's catching it. That is remarkable. That is what you love to see, and he will give you something Stephon Diggs didn't give you a lot of while he was in Buffalo, and that's yards after the catch. He's not afraid to extend the play. He's not going to go down for self-preservation reasons. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I see what Diggs was doing. Diggs was not going to, once he got the first down, boom, I'm going down. I think that maybe for Shakir, he's that valuable now. I would be fine with that if he every once in a while was like, okay, you know what, we got the first down. Let me live to play another down here.
We'll talk more Bills and Ravens. Sean Merriman, former Bills linebacker, former Chargers linebacker, NFL star, going to be joining us here in the 4 o'clock hour. We have time for your calls. If you want to pull up a stool, feel free. 866-4326. Let us know what you think the outcome of Sunday night's game could be. Your prediction for Bills and Ravens. 585-866-4FAN.
I do have a suggestion we'll get to for Bobby Babich. And actually Sean McDermott, seeing that he's the head boss when it comes to this Bills defense. I'm already looking ahead here to November, December. And something right now, in terms of snap counts, I'm not cool with. Maybe it's nothing we can discuss.
All right, we'll get into that and more next here on The Fan.
And in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Things as you would expect on the Bills Friday injury report. Everyone is good to go. The exceptions being Taron Johnson and Terrell Bernard, both ruled out. Of course, it's another primetime game. Greg Rousseau fired up.
Primetime? That's 3 in a row. Primetime's dope. Being able to play at night. Everybody watching, it's always a great atmosphere before the game and during the game, so I know I'm excited for it, and I know the rest of the guys are too.
Bills and Ravens, our pregame coverage will begin at 4 o'clock Sunday. Chris Brown, Eric Wood, Sal Capaccio will have your call on the Fan Sunday night. Former San Diego Charger and Buffalo Bills Shawn Merriman joining us later this hour here in the Sports Bar. Syracuse football, they kick off at noon tomorrow against Holy Cross. We've got St. John Fisher football tomorrow. The Cardinals are at Wilkes. Our pregame coverage will begin at 11:30. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
The Bills are mounting another playoff run.
This week, the Bills are on Sunday Night Football, taking on the Baltimore Ravens at 8:20.
I'm taking Ravens on this one. I think the Ravens are going to win by 3. Bills aren't going to cover.
My heart says Bills just because of it, and then everything else in my brain says Ravens.
Mike Danger.
It's hard to ignore the Lamar trends. It's hard to ignore the John Harbaugh and primetime trends. It's going to be tough, but I don't care. Bills 27.
Whoa.
Ravens 21.
Wow. But not a...
Gene Battaglia.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Bills Sunday night. The Bills are 3-0. You feel actually okay going into a game in Baltimore. I'm not moving off my mark, but I'm leaning like the Ravens by 3 here, which would just barely give them a cover in this game.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Former NFL star linebacker Shawn Merriman, lights out. Former Bills linebacker, Chargers linebacker. He's stopping by the Sports Bar here in about 20-25 minutes or so. We'll talk Bills, Ravens in the first 3 weeks of the NFL with lights out when he joins us. We welcome you back in to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
You talk about the vibes so much, to positives everywhere you look on this roster. And here's a fun fact that no Buffalo Bill had ever had sacks in their first 3 games of the season. Not Bruce Smith, not Cornelius Bennett, not Fred Smirlis, not Aaron Schobel, not Mario Williams. That was up until this year. Von Miller can make it sacks in his first 4 games. And I get it. We all get it, right? He's a Hall of Famer. He's motivated. And every 2 sacks he gets, that's an extra $2 million he gets back there in a bonus. But what about the playing time when you're up by 4 scores? This should not be left up to Von Danger. Being out there, big lead against Jacksonville. Yeah, you got the sack, but I believe Von should be on a pitch count here, okay? My fear is that when it matters most, there's not going to be as much gas left in the tank because of the minutes he's played.
Maybe that's why Terry and Brandon Beane looked so sour up in the box when their team was winning by 37 points. Like, didn't they look sour? They were out there. They were up there like no smiles.
No, apparently Beane, because they sit right next to the radio broadcast, and I heard Brownie's call. He saw Beane pump his fist.
Okay.
So Beane is just so intense. Like Terry Pegula, he's just always got this kind of dour look to him. Just like,
dour is a good way to describe it, yes. Von Miller has every reason and right to be out there. And I think if you were to deny him playing time or opportunity to get those incentives that have been laid out for him, I think it sets a bad precedent. I think other teams notice that. I think other teams will hear that and be like, well, what does it mean? What does it mean if you have a incentive bonus, if you're not going to let me get on the field and go after those incentives? $15,000 a game that he's out there. And with the reduction in his salary and the reduction in the cap hit, it's non-cumulative, but for 4 sacks, Von Miller will achieve a $2.5 million bonus. I think that matters to Von Miller. I think if he gets to 6 sacks and gets to $4 million, he will be even more happy. And I think if you can get him to 10.5 sacks this season, just over $8.5 million, Von Miller's going to start to feel whole again after taking the reduction that he took.
You believe that this is going to be like a snowball. The more he gets, the more he gets. I just think
I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. He's not what he was. He's at the advanced stage of his career. You should put him on a pitch count. I think that they're using him so infrequently that he's already on a pitch count, and when he is out there, he's impactful, even if it is in a game that's a laugher the way it was on Monday night against Jacksonville.
Well, is Vaughn going to be out there once again? You have primetime games on Amazon and Monday Night Football. To me, this is the one, right? Sunday Night Football after a full day of football. You're on NBC. It used to be Monday night. It's now Sunday night. Vaughn is going to be wearing his own hat autograph, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that's a trend. I want that trend to continue. I think it's a move. I think it's an absolute power move. I want to see. I might pull that move myself. Just start autographing some of my own hats and wearing them around. Why not?
If I can sneak in a college football take here, Danger.
Of course.
Because I'm not moving the goalposts on my take.
Anytime you say that to start your take, you are moving the goalpost on your take.
I am not, because I'm just trying to name your objection up front. And the objection being, well, Gene, you always said 4 playoff teams was the best, and that's, and I did say that for the fact that when you had 4 playoff teams, it really made everything so valuable in the regular season. Like, are we talking about Alabama, Georgia as being a de facto playoff game? No, we are not. It's going to be great. We're all going to watch Saturday night, and maybe that's the lesson here. We're going to watch regardless, but it doesn't have that impact. If it was the old system, you'd be kind of wondering, okay, what does this do to Alabama? Well, now it's okay. And we would never be talking about what I'm about to bring up in the 4-team format, because if you had – in years past, a UCF go undefeated.
Right.
Yeah, pat on the head. Heck, you had Florida State go undefeated last year.
That's right.
So, could Danger, one of the college football playoff berths this year, don't laugh, go to Army? I'm being serious. They're 4-0. They thumped Temple last night, 42-12. Their upcoming schedule: Tulsa, UAB, East Carolina, Air Force, North Texas. Look, those are all winnable. If you get through that, now comes a game. Number 16, Notre Dame. I believe if they beat Notre Dame, you would have, or heading into that game, you had every non-Irish fan in the country pulling for Army. If that were to happen, honestly, Army gets into the playoff. How fantastic would that be? Oh, but they would get whacked by whoever. That doesn't matter. Just the fact that Army, with all their limitations in building a program, we would all be behind. I would love to see Army get in.
It'd be a lot of fun. I think the college football playoff is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for it, man. That stretch of football in December between the NFL and college, where we'll have college football playoff games and the NFL kind of like in the home stretch of the regular season with playoff berths on the line. Man, that's going to be a lot of fun. And Saturday night is going to be a lot of fun too, man. Alabama, Georgia. I mean, we're spoiled. That's going to be fantastic college football. Fantastic college football.
It's funny, like people ask me, and they ask you the question, oh, hey, how's the show going? Like, okay, well, you can listen, give me your evaluation. I always tell people the same thing. It's football season. Like, like most people could do a show during football season.
Really? Most people could come in here and talk football for 3 hours. I think that's a fair say. Most dudes who are into football. Yeah, we do our preparation for Friday Night Rivals every week, and we talk to Section 5 coaches and Section 5 football captains. And, man, some of these coaches, I feel like I could spend 2-3 hours just talking ball with them, just getting inside their brain, learning more about their programs and their philosophies and how they've built their programs and how they coach their kids. And you could absolutely, during football season, strike up a conversation with a total stranger about football and have it go for 2-3 hours. Now, when we get to, May, June, July, when there's no football, nary a football to be found, that's where it gets a little bit challenging. This is where Gino and I are like, okay, let's dig our heels. Let's dig in our heels a little bit here, do a little extra prep, see what else is going on in the world of sport that we can touch on. By the way, speaking of what's going on in the world of sport, last night, not kind of much ado about nothing there with the final game in Oakland. Yes.
Yeah, I think that went better than most of us had expected. The fact that Major League Baseball and the A's themselves are putting memos to their players, get off the field as soon as possible, turned out They did exactly what happened in Montreal, which was the fans are there. The fans are being respectful. It's a goodbye. It's a goodbye. And the players recognize this. They recognize everybody up in the stands. You had nothing to do with this. And we want to thank you. And the fact that all the players were out there, the fact that the manager addresses the crowd, and that they won the game on a beautiful day. And then you just look at everything like, how did we get to this point? Why is Major League Baseball sacrificing this market? It's terrible, and I don't. Van Pelt had a good take on this. Okay, that is a bad dude. Who is anybody at all defending John Fisher or bringing up a counterpoint about John Fisher?
No. I mean, and it feels as if, because there's a part of me, it's a small part of me that still believes that this isn't real, that the A's will be back in Oakland next year.
Part of me believes, you're right, that the whole thing in Vegas is going to fall through.
Right. It feels like it's too scattered and incomplete, that there isn't a plan, that the plan is shoddy, that there's holes in everything that you look at in terms of what they want to do in the future, that it won't happen. And then what are you going to do? You're going to have to go back to Oakland on hands and knees and say, yeah, I'm ready. Let's do a deal and let's figure out what we can do
for another 3 years or whatever it would be while you're building that.
And then if you're a dirtbag like John Fisher, then you could look back at this season and be like, well, at least we got that sellout the last couple of games that we had when we had the threat of leaving the game. Because, part of this is that fans aren't going to watch a crappy product, and he's put out a crappy product. He's got some young talent on that team, but he's not spending any money. And it's a bad scene, but there's still a part of me, a small part of me, that wants to believe that it's not true, that their final game was played in Oakland last night, that they'll actually find a way to make it work where they stay in Oakland, where they belong.
That would have to necessitate Rob Manfred caring. Like, I don't think he cares. I don't think these other owners care. But if it gets to the point where you go to Sacramento and you're playing in 100-degree heat and it's embarrassing after 1 year.
I just don't think you're going to get to that point. I think the players are going to shut that down. I don't think the players are going to agree to the idea of playing a season's worth of baseball in Sacramento with the conditions that exist in that town at that ballpark. I don't know how they agree to that. I mean, if it is a bargaining chip and there is, you do this for us, we'll do that for you. What are the players going to ask for? Because they'll have some leverage here.
I also believe, too, that part of me doesn't want to believe this until they actually break ground in Vegas.
Nothing has happened.
Nothing has happened. The financing isn't tied up yet.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I respect the fact that it wasn't a story, right? It was a story, but it wasn't a story. It could have been ugly. It could have been violent. It could have been grotesque, but it wasn't. It was kind of what we hoped it would be, which was a peaceful, heartfelt send-off for their final game. And maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm naive, but there's still a part of me that says this isn't real, this isn't happening. They are actually going to stay in Oakland one way or the other. And I don't know, how John Fisher's involved in that or not involved in that, but it can't happen. This can't be real.
Do you want any ice cream here, Dan?
Yeah, look at this. Who brought this in? Jimmy? This is his
in,
peace offering after he whooped my butt in the Crock-Pot cook-off yesterday, the Odyssey Crock-Pot cook. He, by the way, listeners, got to Jimmy. Jimmy's like, I heard you guys were talking about me yesterday. I'm like, yeah, somebody was listening to us and relayed it to Jimmy and said, yeah, Jimmy, they were talking a little smack. I'm like, I wasn't talking smack. I was showing respect. Like, Jimmy lives out in the woods. Jimmy's isolated. He's not on social media. I'm jealous of a lot of ways.
That's absolutely true. Like, somebody could live in this day and age. Nope. I have a flip phone. I don't use Facebook. I certainly don't use X or anything else like that. You want to call me? Call me.
Yeah.
My gosh.
There's a part of me that's insanely jealous of that. I mean, we were talking yesterday. Jimmy and I were talking yesterday, and he's asking me what I use to smoke the chili, and I told him I used hickory, and he's explaining to me how he'll actually gather like actual hickory chips from the hickory trees on his property. I'm like, I can't compete with that.
Yeah.
What am I? I'm getting a bag of hickory chips from the store. That's what I'm throwing in my smoker. You're actually using the real deal that's like fallen from the trees. And he probably deserves to win the crockpot cook-off. But I was a little hurt yesterday. I don't like steak knives, but we did get some. Jimmy is one of the fueling forces behind the radiothon happening at our sister station.
Listen, that looks delicious. From McDonald's, and thing is, Danger. Any other day, I would wolf that down in a second. We've got a long night ahead of us.
This is fuel for the long night. That's the way I view it. I view it as fuel for the long night. I don't know that I could do the apple pie. We got an apple and a chocolate pie in there. Is that what I see? But it looks like a little ice cream treat. Here, bring that over here.
Bring that over there.
All right. I mean, what are we missing here? We got spoons. We got. By the way, WBEE.com, if you, the McCafe pie. If you want to be a hero.
Yeah.
As they're doing their radiothon today.
We should mention, there is that Josh Allen package where you get the signed jersey and there's a couple tickets to Bills Patriots. You can
Absolutely.
So imagine that. Like, your money would be going to a fantastic cause.
Yes, it would. If you're a Bills fan, we encourage you to check that out at WBEE.com as their radiothon continues. And I don't know, I guess I'm jealous also of Billy Kidd. He's talking to Joanne Ryan from the Ronald McDonald House, and I'm talking to you. How did he luck out?
All right. I don't even know who. I can't see from my head.
Yeah, well, he's got the dignitaries from the Ronald McDonald House Charities in studio with him now. And again, we encourage you to check that out at WBEE.com if you want to be a hero for families in our community who are dealing with sick children. Ronald McDonald House Charities doing some really, really amazing work in our community.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Boy, the Giants. I got a few texts last night. Watching that game, Danger, you're just wondering, all right, the Giants didn't win last night. Are they ever going to beat Dallas ever again? Another game where they kick a bunch of field goals. It goes down. Concussion from Malik Neighbors. The text I got from Timmy in San Diego, it's Brian Dable's weight. I miss Fat Dable.
Wow.
I don't know if that's it.
Wow.
You got to give the guy credit.
I mean, are we saying that if you're a head coach in the NFL, it's like if you're a comedian? We've heard this before, like Jonah Hill wanted to be healthier, and so he lost all that weight. But we remember Jonah Hill as like the pudgy kid and super bad, and everybody thought he was hilarious. And then all of a sudden he becomes more like serious, a more serious actor. And everybody that said, hey, you lost the weight and you lost your sense of humor as well. It was like, I didn't lose my sense of humor. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to live a longer life. I don't fault Brian Dable for shedding some LBs. I don't know that it's affecting his coaching style, but man, I want him to be healthy. He looks like a different guy. Hard to recognize. I'm like, oh my God, Dable. He's lost a lot of weight. He's got the beard fully, but almost looks like he has some Just for Men working in that beard. Am I often saying that? Is he working a little Just for Men into the beard?
Yeah. How old is he? He's in his 40s, right?
Not sure. I think he's got some Just for Men work.
Yeah,
looks like a little Just for Men in there. So, Brian Daboll, I'm not speaking out of school. One of my bold predictions was that the Giants were going to be the worst team in the league. I think Brian Daboll is going to be looking for work after this season. We love Brian Daboll. It was great when he was with the Buffalo Bills, but he might be better suited as a play caller offensive coordinator than a head coach. And even as an offensive coordinator and a head coach, which he's calling the plays for the Giants, they can't get into the end zone. Is that on Daniel Jones? Is that on Brian Daboll? The Giants still haven't figured it out.
No, and now they got to go to Seattle. Again, get a few extra days to prepare for that.
Yeah, week 4 schedule is nice. I know I shouldn't subject my children to this, but I'm thinking about bringing my daughter out to watch a Bears game on Sunday in advance of us going to a Bears game a week from Sunday, just to get a vibe, just so we go in, fully prepared, fully immersed, knowing, the Bills played Sunday night, so we'll have time to do it all. But a good lineup of games coming up. You've got the Nathaniel Hackett revenge game on CBS with the Jets hosting the Broncos. We remember that from last year. It wasn't really the same deal because the Jets didn't really have a quarterback, and now we'll see if Aaron Rodgers stands up for his guy.
Totally forgot about those Sean Payton comments.
Yeah.
Put him on blast.
I didn't forget about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then will Cincinnati get off the schneid? Can they beat Andy Dalton? Revenge game all of a sudden is compelling.
All right. Honest question. If Jacksonville loses at Houston, but it's bad, does Peterson get fired?
If it's bad, 0-4 start.
To me, 0-4 is, all right, you're done. 0-4, you're done.
I don't think there's coming back from 0-4. You're trying to be respectable at that point. I don't think he loses his job.
No.
I don't think he loses his job. What are they going to do? Where are they going? Who are they bringing in? Who's? I don't even know who's on his. I mean, you're going to make the goofy-looking defensive coordinator your interim head coach. You're going to make the offensive coordinator your interim head coach. They're both young guys.
Some retread.
They're both young guys.
Oh, I've got it.
Oh, okay. Share.
Mike McCoy. He's the quarterback coach.
Mike McCoy is the quarterback coach?
Yes.
All right, that guy will get fired. Maybe that's the guy.
Maybe that's the guy. He's not the interim coach.
Forgot about that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacksonville-Houston is interesting. Interesting divisional game there. And for Bill's interest, it's interesting to see what Houston does against Jacksonville in advance of Week 5 next week when the two face off in Houston. And I think Kansas City, Los Angeles is intriguing as well, even though we'll see who's out there for Los Angeles. If Herbert can't go, it could be a laugher. But I think Los Angeles is going to give Kansas City, a well-coached team with Harbaugh. Will they be able to match wits with Andy Reid and company and Patrick Mahomes?
If you were with us earlier for Andy Barron's, I asked him to point out about, hey, Travis Kelce owners in fantasy, are you worried? He's like, no, that's an easy one. Like, he's been open. So one of these games, maybe it's the game in Los Angeles, you're feeding him the ball a little bit more to put this to rest.
Well, Sunday night culminates with Sunday Night Football and the Bills traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Bills look to stay undefeated and move to 4-0 against a Ravens team looking to even up at 2-2 after winning in Dallas last Sunday. Sean Merriman, former Bills linebacker, former Chargers linebacker, and NFL star. He's got some stuff working, and he wants to join us here in the Sports Bar next. We'll talk some Bills-Ravens. We'll talk some NFL. We'll talk about what he's been up to post-playing days. Sean Merriman, lights out, stopping by the Sports Bar next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Sports Update.
No surprises on the Buffalo Bills Friday injury report. Everyone good to go with the exceptions of Taron Johnson and Terrell Bernard, both ruled out. Sean McDermott and John Harbaugh go ways back.
Yeah, very well coached. John's had a lot of success for a number of years, and we coached together in Philadelphia for a number of years, and so I know he's a great coach, and not surprised what he's been able to do with that organization.
Bills and Ravens, our pregame coverage will begin at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Chris Brown, Eric Wood, Sal Capaccio, your call Sunday night beginning 8:20 here on The Fan. Former San Diego Charger and Buffalo Bills Shawn Merriman, lights out, joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Syracuse football kicking off against Holy Cross at noon tomorrow. Got St. John Fisher football tomorrow. The Cardinals are at Wilkes. Our coverage will begin at 11:30. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Joining us in the Sports Bar for the first time, former Bills linebacker, former Chargers linebacker, NFL star, lights out, Shawn Merriman stopping by the Sports Bar. Man, it's great to have you on. I can't wait to talk about everything you've been doing now that you've been out of the NFL for a while. But I want to start by asking you just point blank. I mean, you're still paying attention to what's going on in the NFL, right, Shawn? I mean, you've got a pretty good handle on which teams are trending in which directions and following along week by week?
Oh, yeah, man. Nothing really changes on this end. I think, in fact, the further you get away from the game, the more you start watching it as a fan, right? When you retire, you're a couple years out, you start thinking that physically you can go back out there and play. So you're not analyzing the game as much, and now it's completely different.
Shawn, you're watching this Buffalo Bills team, and again, it's early in the season. They're off to a 3-0 start, but you've got injuries, Milano and Bernard and Taron Johnson, and next man up. It's easy to say for many teams, but how have the Bills been able to kind of accomplish this so far?
Hey, the great teams do. We all know that during the season, guys are not, injuries happen, and for one, from that first snap from training camp, no one's 100% healthy. I mean, somebody got a wrist, a finger, a back, a knee, a shoulder, and that happens for all 17 weeks you're there. So great coaching staffs, man, know how to cover those, deficiencies up and go out and win football games. And they got enough, man. They not just for the starters, but the depth. They have enough to battle through some of these injuries. Some of these other guys step up and making things happen. They've been doing it already, and it's still early in the season.
Shawn, when you look at the backups stepping into these roles and the defense not really missing a beat, and you mentioned they're a good team, they're a good, well-coached team, and these are guys that have been in the system and guys that have been around Sean McDermott and know where they need to be on the field. That's one thing. It's a completely different thing, or is it a completely different thing when you're going up against a guy like Derrick Henry, who seems to be a guy who can adjust your attitude with one swift, stiff arm to the face?
Yeah, that's what they're going to find out this week. And the Bills definitely could be better in rushing aloud and not letting so many people run the football. And they're going to have a test this week, and they're coming and playing against a ticked off Ravens team that came up short a couple games this year. Going to run the football, so they're going to be tested. So I would say this, man, they're playing very, very high level football. Josh Allen's playing. I mean, I know it's super early to talk MVP talks and everything else, but what he's done so far, man, especially losing some of the pieces he had last year, finding other ways to spread the ball around. That is when he's playing his best, man. And I know that. I'm a former Terp, so I love myself some Stephon Diggs. Yeah. But when you don't have a number one guy out there that's going to get on you for not getting the ball, it makes life a little bit easier, right? Because you can spread the ball around. You don't have anybody complaining. You heard Josh Allen come out on several of the press conferences and said, certain guys are selfishness and they're not asking for the ball and just praising the guys for not, making it a big deal when they don't touch the ball that week. And I think that it made his life a lot easier.
Shawn Merriman, our guest, will talk about Lights Out Extreme Fighting here and what he has going on. Shawn, you're talking more about Josh Allen. As a defender, or if you're a defensive coordinator, I mean, Josh Allen's playing some of the best football of his career right now. How would you go about defending him?
It's so tough, man, because you can't really let him get in the rhythm because that's when he does the most damage. he's you know what he's doing this year. I think that it's been the best. He's been a lot more smarter with the football, but more importantly, man, there's no game planning. Right? Last year, you knew that if you took Stephon Diggs out, you knew that you were going to force someone else to make plays. This year, he's spreading the ball around so much. It's hard to game plan, and that's what's happening. That's why it's so hard to get a grip on what they're doing. They run the football well, they protect it well. Like I said before, they probably need to get better on their run defense. They're going to be tested this week, but overall, man, we haven't seen this Josh Allen firing out like this, and the way he's spreading the ball and what he's doing with the football when the game's on the line.
And, Sean, this Ravens defense is an interesting one. They rank first in the league in stopping the run. They rank last in the league in stopping the pass. When you see that out of a team defense, what's the truth? What's the real Ravens defense when you have that kind of that gap between their pass defense and their rush defense? What are they hiding?
They're trying to find their identity again, man. I think that once McDonald left, you kind of go through the search of who you are, right? Their defensive line coach, they brought in Chuck Smith, who was my pass rushing coach during the off seasons back when I played. He's a great coach. So he got those guys firing up front, but they got to get to the quarterback. That means that, the quarterback's just holding on to the ball too long and able to make plays, extend the plays. So it's unusual because he's a damn good coach, and I've trained with him most of my career during the off season. But I think they're just struggling. I know Patrick Queen had left. They're just struggling to find some identity right now, who they are. Last year, you know exactly who they were when you played. It was a hard, physical team that played to run well. They'll come up, the DBs come up to the line of scrimmage and make plays if they had to. But this year, it's not so much. They're trying to kind of put a finger on who they are again.
Sean Merriman, our guest here in the Sports Bar, finishing up his career in Buffalo, and you were part of some of those great teams with the San Diego Chargers. In my mind, Sean, they're always going to be the San Diego Chargers. And to me, this is almost like a timely question because I don't know if you observed yesterday, but the Oakland A's, they're not the Oakland A's anymore, and the fans got ripped off. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts there because the Chargers in L.A., and it's not that far a drive, but you were so closely associated with the San Diego Chargers. And what is that like now looking back?
Oh, it was definitely some mind transitioning going on, right? Because I'll tell you a quick story that even when I announced the draft pick in the 2017 draft in Tennessee, I mean, it was still running in my mind to say Los Angeles Chargers, right? When they're coming out to 100,000 plus people. But I think they've done a great job, man, of getting that fan base going again. And it all started with them, for one, having a franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. Like, you need, in this day and age in the NFL, you need a franchise guy to turn your organization around. They got that. The other thing is I think they went out and did what they needed to do to get Jim Harbaugh in it. I think that they haven't had this level of excitement. I know they didn't look that great, this last game, but man, they got the fan base excited again. So at the end of the day, man, it was at first it was a bit weird. I'd be the first one to tell you it's a bit weird of the move, but it's totally fine now.
Hey, Sean, we were talking about Derrick Henry and this team wanting to establish the run and run it down Buffalo's throat. And I'm curious, man, you're sharing stories about how it was like there at the end of time with San Diego and in the transition to Los Angeles. I just love hearing stories from former players because I think you have such a deep wealth and just a chest of these unbelievable stories. Was there a player or a play that you remember where you got trucked or somebody hit you or you tried to hit somebody and it was a lot harder than you thought it was going to be, and it sticks with you? You still have it in your memory today?
I think, man, when I first got with the Chargers in 2005, we were playing the Steelers, and I had a wide open tackle with Jerome Bettis. As you know, this was like a Sunday night. I think it was a Sunday night football game, and it didn't go so well. So I hit him up top. I didn't realize how big he was. My arm couldn't fully wrap around him, and I felt myself just dragging and going down to the bottom of his legs. Finally, 3-4 yards later, I got him down by the ankles, but it was definitely a different feeling. It was a welcome to the NFL moment. And so, because I always thought, man, I was like, man, I get a primetime hit under the light against the bus. And I remembered his name was the bus, and I saw fully why it was that. So that was probably one that came to mind because I didn't see anything like that in college before.
Sean, I love former athletes where you're in one profession and now you have something totally different going on. What was the transition like for you leaving the NFL, and how the connection to MMA and Lights Out Extreme Fighting happened?
Well, I was training MMA during my career, football career during the offseason with some of the top guys, and Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. I was training with these guys during the offseason, so I kind of just fell into the sport. I didn't know that I was going to be this kind of deep into not only the sport but the business side. So, I have Lights Out Extreme Fighting, which is my MMA organization. We have the next up-and-coming superstars. We got guys that's signing to the UFC and Dana White's Contender Series left and right. And we're the next up-and-coming, man. We have the fast-growing regional promotion in the country. Got a big fight coming up here October 26th. That'll be live on my streaming service, free ad-supported streaming service, Lights Out Sports TV. So if you guys got any one of the major smart TVs out there, download Lights Out Sports TV. We got 30 channels there, 250 sports movies and documentaries, 16 live sports. So if you guys like motocross and poker and outdoor fishing, hunting, all that stuff, we got it. So make sure you guys download Lights Out Sports TV.
Man, this is great hearing from you, Sean, and having you on with us. And you sound like you're in amazing spirits. And we know that for a lot of ex-NFL players, it's hard to find that purpose, that next thing. And it's really comforting to hear that you seem like you've found it and you're doing really well for yourself, man.
Thanks, man. And just again, it's got some really fun news coming up hopefully soon with Buffalo and the Bills fans. I think they're the greatest fans in sports, and I just, when I talk to people about Buffalo now, it's always that, man. It's hard to feel something like that. That was probably one of the highlights of my career, getting to finish up there, man, out there. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, you were here when it wasn't so good. I mean, you should come.
Rough times.
Yeah, rough times.
Yeah.
Like we remember, you always remember, Sean, who was with you in your rough times.
Yeah, and I remember they didn't have all those nice things out there. It's buildings and hotels. I was just out there about a year and a half ago, and it's so nice. I do miss it, though. I miss the people, but we should have, possibly have some really, really exciting news for Buffalo Bills fans here shortly. So,
love it. Lights out, man. Thanks for the time. Appreciate you making it for us here in the Sports Bar. Let's do it again. Don't be a stranger.
You got it, man. Thanks for having me.
You got
Thanks,
it. Sean Merriman, former NFL linebacker, star linebacker, the Chargers, and finishing his career in Buffalo.
Is there a better nickname than Lights Out?
It's pretty good. It's pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. And kudos to him for taking that nickname and recognizing this is my brand. This is what I'm known as. This is what I'm known for. And now you've got a Lights Out Sports TV service. You've got Lights Out Extreme Fighting. And as it continues to grow, you'll be able to say, oh, that's Merriman's deal. That's cool.
So just keep this in mind, because I think a storyline, I'm going to connect this over to Sean Merriman in a second, but a storyline coming up this offseason is going to be, hey, the Panthers, they traded up to number 1, and will we get one of these quarterbacks, whoever that may be, I'm not going to go to Carolina. No. Well, the last time this happened in the league was actually Eli Manning saying, no, I'm not going to go to San Diego. And so the Chargers and the Giants, Chargers are picking 4, they move up. To make the deal happen, they gave the number 1 pick next year. The number 1 pick next year doesn't go to the Giants, goes to the Chargers with Sean Merriman.
Yeah. And, man, his star shined brightly for a good few years there, man. He was a force. He would get after it. He would absolutely get after it.
At the end in Buffalo, there wasn't anything left by that point.
That's right. I mean, he the stars shine bright, and it kind of burns out and fades pretty quickly as well. I mean, he obviously there's some stuff going on there with him towards the end of his career that I think when you're a player and you're a competitor, you want every kind of advantage you can find, you can get. And, by the time he got to Buffalo, there wasn't a ton left in the tank. But, man, to hear him say the things that he was saying about Bills Mafia and the Bills fan base, I mean, that's kind of become universal. And he started a conversation with us by talking about how the farther you get away from the game, the more you become a fan. I always think of, like, Fitzpatrick being in the stands shirtless.
Yeah.
Like a guy who was just out of the league for like a year, rooting on and being a part of the fandom of the Buffalo Bills. That is a testament. I think what Merriman said is like, I want to come back to Buffalo. I can't wait to share with the fans what I've got working. It's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's 100% true. Like, if you have a chance to meet an NFL player that's in the game right now, and you ask him, hey, what'd you think of the Giants-Cowboys? I don't. What? You have to understand, it's their profession. They're watching so much film. They can't be taking in other games that don't involve their team. It's such a...
They're focused.
Focused. One note passing along to you here, Danger, coming out of that Giants Cowboy game last night, Micah Parsons, they're saying it's a high ankle sprain.
Yeah. High ankle sprain for Parsons. Neighbors suffered a concussion. But there are some injuries, or some teams that look like they may be getting healthier. I have to kind of like scan the wire here because I've been getting some alerts on my phone. We'll get some questionable. I mean, if you play fantasy football, all you see is just red cues everywhere. Red cues everywhere. They've taken over. And maybe we can dissect and pick apart some of that here as we get closer and closer to happy hour in the sports ball. We'll take a quick break here and look at some of these week 4 matchups in the NFL next on the Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Mentioned it before we went to break. Lots of questionable tags being thrown on players going into Week 4 of the NFL. An interesting slate of games ahead of us, all capped off on Sunday with the Bills traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, a game you'll be able to hear on the Fan Rochester with our pregame coverage starting Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I did not realize that Devontae Adams had a hamstring injury in Thursday's practice. He's been ruled out. So no Devontae Adams and no Max Crosby for the Raiders and Browns. And the Browns are one of those teams that, okay, if they win that game, all right, you're not feeling too good about the Browns, but you are 2-2. And it is a long season, and maybe they do figure it out here. So
I still believe that now that Bryce Young isn't starting at quarterback, that Deshaun Watson is the worst starting quarterback in the NFL.
Ooh. Watching that game beginning to end last week against the Giants, the processing isn't there. He doesn't trust what he's looking at. He just looks like a rookie out there, Danger. I can't argue that.
And another thing to get you psyched up for Sunday night, when you're worried about the Ravens' defense, just keep this in mind. Gardner Minshew got over on them in Week 2. Gardner Minshew. Again, now, I think...
With extra time to prepare for said Gardner Minshew. Remember the Ravens were playing the opening Thursday night?
That's right. That's right. So, I don't know. We gave our predictions earlier. We'll share them again here when we get to happy hour next hour. But I know that there's a lot of trends that would support, and this spot may be a rough spot for the Bills, but I'm not necessarily buying into the Ravens being what they were last year.
If you could pick one of these 4 games in the late afternoon slot on Sunday, Danger, which one would it be? And we mentioned the Browns and Raiders, which, okay, the Raiders are coming in shorthanded. The game we'll all see here is Chiefs and Chargers. That's going to have the Tony Romo Nance treatment on it.
Yeah, Jim, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all that Romo does. He's become just a soundbite, just kind of guttural noises, and I don't know.
40, yeah, get paid millions to have guttural noises. 49ers and Patriots, or the Commanders and Cardinals.
The Commanders and Cardinals is fun because of who
Yeah.
you have behind center for both teams. A lot of mobility, lots of big play ability out of both of those quarterbacks. For me, it's still going to be Chiefs-Chargers. I want to see what that looks like with Harbaugh on the sideline for L.A. now, but I wouldn't blame you if you said let's check out what's happening with the Cardinals and the Commanders.
What if Sam Darnold goes into Green Bay and wins? We still don't know what Jordan Love. I hope we get some clarity before kickoff.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
That's a great point that Andy brought up. I mean, if the Vikings beat the Packers to move to 4-0, and they have essentially, I mean,
2-game lead
on the Packers, depending on what Detroit does on Monday night. They could have a 2-game lead in the NFC North. That's when, if you're Green Bay, you have to have it. You need Jordan Love out there. I think Love plays. And is it enough to beat the Vikings? I think the Vikings could lose to Green Bay, and I want to say the following week they're traveling to London to play the Jets, and that's going to be the one that's fun. Because that's where Sam Darnold is going to get his revenge. He'll beat the Jets, the team that drafted him, and then the New York Post will, put out the headline when the Jets fall to the Vikings, seeing ghosts or whatever they want to say. Nice callback to the Darnold era of Jets football. Yeah, and then early on you've got a couple division matchups as well. You mentioned the Packers and the Vikings. You've also got the Falcons and New Orleans. We'll find out if New Orleans was fluky there those first 2 weeks. Atlanta's favored by 2.5. They're at home.
They're wearing the red helmets in this game, Danger.
Ooh, well.
Yeah, does that sway your opinion?
Well, that could tilt the scales a little bit. Jacksonville-Houston's another one that's interesting as far as divisional matchups are concerned. And for Jacksonville, this is the season, right? If you drop a game to Houston here and you fall to 0-4, there's no coming back from 0-4. There's probably no coming back from 0-3. But what does Houston look like against Jacksonville in advance of their Week 5 matchup, of course, against the Bills? The team won't look ahead. We're allowed to look ahead a little bit.
Of course we're allowed to look ahead. Are you kidding me? If the Bills pull this off Sunday night, it's Diggs' week that begins right then and there.
Yeah.
I think your Bears win this week. I think they beat the Rams at home, a Rams team that's pretty beat up, kind of a flimsy defense. You're going to be fine, Danger.
I think really don't have an excuse if they lose. I mean, it's been a rough week, Gene. It's been a rough week. I've seen the image of the 4 linemen getting knocked on their ass against the Colts too many times to mention. I've shared it with friends. It's disgusting. But there are things happening where it's like, okay, Caleb looks okay. I mean, really, for me, it's the offensive line, it's the coaching. And can they be competent enough at home with the Rams traveling east? I know it's not the east, but I give them a shot. I kind of surprised that they're favored by 2.5. This is one I got to pay attention to because I'm going to be fully immersed a week from Sunday when I'm bringing my daughter to Soldier Field, her first Bear game. That's got to be a win. But again, maybe Andy Dalton's just going on a revenge tour. He beats the Bengals this week, and then he comes into Chicago and beats the Bears next week. I don't even want to think about that. What if the Panthers are good with Andy Dalton as their quarterback? I can't think this way.
This would be setting up that the Bears win this week and everybody's rolling, and then you have the letdown. You have a letdown when Danger's out there.
Cannot have it. We hope you enjoy your weekend of football. I mean, Saturday night, you've got Georgia, Alabama. Hell, you don't have to go very far. Section 5 football tonight is going to rock. We're going to be in Hilton for McQuaid at Hilton for Friday Night Rivals on the CW Rochester. It's going to be that's going to be a scene. So, yeah, great weekend of football ahead. And it all it comes to a close on Sunday night with the Ravens hosting the Bills. Happy hours next. We'll give our predictions. We'll take your calls. If you have a prediction for Sunday night, we'd love to hear your rationale. Put your name on it. 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports W239BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
No surprises on the Bills' Friday injury report. Everyone good to go with the exceptions of Taron Johnson and Terrell Bernard, both already ruled out. Greg Rousseau loves playing under the lights.
Primetime? That's 3 in a row. Primetime's dope. Being able to play at night, everybody watching. It's always a great atmosphere before the game and during the game. So I know I'm excited for it, and I know the rest of the guys are too.
Bills and Ravens, our pregame coverage Sunday begins at 4 o'clock. Chris Brown, Eric Wood, Sal Capaccio have your call Sunday night here on the Fan Rochester. Syracuse football looking to get back on the winning track. They take on Holy Cross tomorrow. The game is a sellout. Got St. John Fisher football tomorrow as the Cardinals are at Wilkes. Our coverage will begin at 11:30. Final weekend of baseball's regular season. The Yankees, they've wrapped up the division. They host the Pirates. The Mets are in Milwaukee. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
The Bills are mounting another playoff run.
This week, the Bills are on Sunday Night Football, taking on the Baltimore Ravens at 8:20.
I'm taking Ravens on this one. I think the Ravens are going to win by 3. Bills aren't going to cover.
My heart says Bills just because of it, and then everything else in my brain says Ravens.
Mike Danger.
It's hard to ignore the Lamar trends. It's hard to ignore the John Harbaugh and primetime trends. It's going to be tough, but I don't care. Bills 27.
Whoa.
Ravens 21.
Wow. But not a...
Gene Battaglia.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Bills Sunday night. The Bills are 3-0. You feel actually okay going into a game in Baltimore. I'm not moving off my mark, but I'm leaning like the Ravens by 3 here, which would just barely give them a cover in this game.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour in the sports bar. Another fantastic weekend of sports ahead for you in the Flower City. Whether you're rooting on your favorite college team, your favorite high school team here in Section 5, or maybe just the Bills on Sunday night, we're here for it. We appreciate you stopping by and listening in the free-to-download Odyssey app. However you may be enjoying the show, the video stream is up on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. You can even get us on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan.
Assuming nothing gets flexed after this week, just one primetime game left for the Buffalo.
Really?
That's it. The Monday night game.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. You've got the
San Francisco game. Yep.
49ers, too.
But they could get flexed, right? I mean, there's a handful of matchups down the stretch that I think are intriguing.
Yeah, certainly the Bills with Josh Allen could always get flexed. I'm just hoping that we've yet to see any game get flexed from the Sunday to the Monday. And, well, you did since that you won. You had the one with the Eagles and the Seahawks, I think it was, but... Other than that, though, we'll get back into a routine. That's my point here. After this week, you'll be the following week, 1 o'clock in Houston. And I just think this is a tough spot for Buffalo. This is a league where everybody's good. In Baltimore, we could pick apart their flaws, but they still have attributes to this team that traditionally the Bills have had difficulty with Derrick Henry. I know the Bills did fine with Derrick Henry last year. That was at home. So that's why I am taking the Ravens kind of in a pounded-out sort of game where it comes down to a kick one way or another. Either Tucker pulls this out or Tyler Brass doesn't deliver. I have the Ravens winning this 24-21.
Yeah, and all week long, whoever we've talked to about this game, whether we were talking to P.J. Glasser, who's there in Baltimore and in the blast zone, you hear the trends, right? John Harbaugh has a record of 20-3 at home in primetime games as Baltimore's head coach. Lamar Jackson is 23-7 against the spread as a favorite of 3 points or less. What's that spread at now, Gene? Still 2.5?
Still 2.5. Not moving.
I don't care. I'm going Bills. 27-21. I think Allen throws for over 300. I think Lamar gets a couple of touchdowns. But I think the Bills are able to contain Derrick Henry, force Lamar to try and beat them, and I don't think he has enough. I don't think this team has enough. I don't think Baltimore is the same Baltimore team that we saw last year. I think the defense is fraudulent, and I think they can expose that defense in ways that we've seen Joe Brady just so far this year do it. I mean, Here's a stat for you. What's Josh Allen's record since Joe Brady became the OC? What are they, like 10-1, something like that?
They are on the longest winning streak in the league, and then one being the loss in Philadelphia, where Elliott makes a 50-yard kick in the rain, and Gabe Davis turns the wrong way, and
how about James Cook dropping
a pass? Yeah, a lot of things went against the Bills in that loss here. At what point are we like the coaching cycle will happen sooner than you think? We may have a coach fired next week. I tend to believe that if the Jaguars lose big in Houston, that'll be it for Shad Khan. He'll have enough, and he'll put Mike McCoy or some other retread in there and play out the string. I guess my question to you, Danger, is if the Bills continue on this path where you have this redesigned offense, Joe Brady's going to get some interviews this offseason.
For sure. Joe Brady will be the next head coach in Jacksonville. Joe Brady will be whoever needs an offensive-minded head coach. He'll get a look for sure. There's no question about it. If he keeps going down this path, and isn't that what you want? I mean, isn't that what you want? An offensive coordinator who is so good that everybody looks at him and says, "Wow, that's the guy we need." If you're the Bills, I mean, now my question becomes: we knew that Joe Brady was waiting in the wings with Ken Dorsey was the OC. Well, what's next? Who's the next young hot shot that you're going to bring in to work with Josh Allen and get the most out of this offense? Or are you going to be able to retain Joe Brady long term if he continues doing what he's doing? Because there's no question that he'll be a head coaching candidate. Young, bright, creative play caller. I mean, that feels in the NFL today almost, if not more important than actually having your franchise quarterback. I mean, look at what creative play callers in Green Bay have done for Malik Willis. It's important, and teams realize that, and Brady will get looks.
Yeah, for those who forgot, Ronald Curry is the quarterback coach in Buffalo. He's never been a coordinator.
That's right.
So I don't know if he's ready to be the next man up, but that's the way the Bills seem to. And look, it's kind of worked along the way here. I'm going to say one thing that's not going to happen. I don't think Brian Dable's next year with the Giants. I just don't. But I can never see Dable coming back to Buffalo. You could see people saying, the Bills. How many people over the years, the Bills haven't been the same since Dable, blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
no.
He's not coming back because he don't like the head coach. They don't get along.
No, they don't like each other.
They don't like each other. I mean, that became pretty apparent last year, right? Like that handshake, post-game handshake was icy. It wasn't cordial. I think they tolerate each other, but I don't think they like each other. That's not something I would bank on. Sean McDermott, speaking of the head coach, letting us know how the Bills are health-wise.
Yeah, Terrell and Taron Johnson will be ruled out for the game. Terrell may get a little bit of practice in again today. Kyer should be full today and ready to go for the game.
Do you anticipate Taron doing anything today at all, or are we just waiting on that?
Yeah, waiting on that. I think it'll be more off-the-field type of stuff. He's still working to get himself to where he can get on the field at this point.
And then yesterday, Terrell wearing the red non-contact jersey, but we were out there watching, and it was just good to see him out there. How about for you and seeing Terrell and how you thought he got through yesterday's practice?
Right, it was great to see him out there. I mean, it's good for his teammates, for the team to see him, feel his energy and his leadership, and yet at the same time for him as well to get back in the pads and in the helmet and start to knock some of the rust off, if you will.
Sean McDermott joining Sal Capaccio on our Odyssey Sports sister station, WGR.
Since when did doing your job become leadership? I'm going to do an update coming up here. I'm going to show great leadership. You show great leadership.
Just doing your job.
Doing your job.
Yeah.
Just being a leader.
Well, that's the whole lead by example thing, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I'm not alone, by the way, in liking the Bills to beat the Ravens on Sunday night. A guy who watched the Bills and called the game for ESPN, Louis Riddick, earlier today on Jim Rome.
Well, they'll have to hit another level against Baltimore because we know what their DNA is. We know what Lamar is. We know what John Harbaugh is as a coach. And we know what this organization expects as far as when they have big-time showdowns and how they expect to play. It's going to be physical. Buffalo will have to win the line of scrimmage like they have done all year long. That's where Baltimore lives. I expect Buffalo to go ahead, though, and show the NFL that they're for real. Very much so.
An emphatic endorsement of Buffalo by Louis Riddick.
Yeah, and again, if the Bills lose this game, that doesn't mean they're not for real. The only way I see the world is on fire coming up on Monday, it's how they lose. If it's Allen turning the ball over, well, I don't have any evidence that's going to go that way. It's Bass missing kicks.
I mean, when was the last time the Bills lost a game by more than a score? Every game
this
is
streak
tight.
is crazy.
Yeah.
What is it? The Colts game where they got run out of the building that one year?
They really haven't. I mean, they're in every game. They haven't gotten blown out by an opponent in a long time. I'm not saying that to be a mush. I'm not saying that to be a jinx. I'm just saying the streak is impressive. And even if they do lose, I think you come back on Monday, unless it's a blowout, unless the Ravens find a way to blow. I mean, when the Ravens beat the Bills in Josh Allen's rookie season, week 1, with Peterman as your starter, that feels like a long time ago. And that was a different team and a different player and a different quarterback. And, since then, the Bills have kind of gotten over on the Ravens. And I have a sense that McDermott's going to get over on him again here, that he has Lamar's number and that he kind of knows how to slow down Henry. And even with a bunch of backups, even with Cam Lewis, even with Balen Spector, smart guys that know where they need to be and make the plays that they need to make.
Yeah. They got blown out at home November 21st, 2021, 41-15 to the Colts.
Jonathan Taylor had
had a 5-touchdown game, went berserk there, and then the following week is Thanksgiving night, short week, and that's when Tre'Davious White tears his ACL. They beat the Saints, but everything after that, Danger, it's either been Bills winning comfortably, losing close games. You had the loss to Tampa Bay that was close. There's not another blowout loss. The Bills don't lose blowout games.
Yeah. Well, we're expecting a tightly contested game Sunday night. You'll be able to hear it on the Fan Rochester. Pre-game coverage gets underway at 4 o'clock. And then, of course, Sal Capaccio on the sidelines. You just heard he'll be on the sidelines while Chris Brown and Eric Wood are calling the game before you kick off at 8:20 Sunday night here on the Fan. You can reach out to us on Twitter, X, that's Elon's Twitter, at the Fan Rochester. Peter giving his predictions. Buffalo 37, Baltimore 24. Ooh. Peter's also a Jets fan. He's got the Jets beating the Broncos 28-17. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think that Nathaniel Hackett has forgotten what was said about him by Sean Payton last year. And while the Broncos-Jets matchup last year was the one that got all the shine, you actually have a quarterback now in New York. Mm-hmm. And Rodgers could take exception to what was said about his buddy there with Sean Payton making those comments about Hackett last year in the preseason. It'll be interesting to see what the world looks like come Monday morning, Gino.
Yeah, Chris writing in. I think it's going to be a breakout game for Coleman. I'll say he goes for 110 and 2 touchdowns. Lamar doesn't get his legs going. Bills win 33-13.
Wow.
That is a bold prediction.
Yeah.
The Keon Coleman story. Yeah, if he shows up late in December, you really need the game. I don't know if you're suspending him at that point, but that's the perfect time to kind of do that, right? Like, was it really a suspension? No, you're just going to sit out a few series, kid, and we're going to point this out to you.
I think that the way it was handled was probably proper, and the way he responded was as appropriate. I don't. This isn't a story because it ended when he got on the field and made the most of his opportunity. Now, yeah, your hope is that he learns his lesson and doesn't make the same mistake twice. Start showing up on time, kid, because you don't want to get disciplined. You want to get on the field. Hard lesson to learn. But, man, he's just part of this group that everybody seems to love, right? I mean, Josh Allen is saying great things about him, that he's his own personality, he's his own character, but he's loved by his teammates. And if it was a lesson that he needed to learn, hopefully he learned it. It doesn't happen again, and you have a big output from Keon Coleman. That would be nice. Worst pass defense in the NFL.
Yeah, the quarterbacks. Okay, Mahomes, sure. Dak Prescott, of course. Gardner Minshew? Gardner Minshew went up and down on the field on you in your home opener.
Yep. Got over on him. And I do think it was interesting yesterday when we spoke with Dan Fates, and if you missed that conversation, you can get all of our guest appearances and conversations wherever you get your podcast. Just search out the Sports Bar. That includes the free-to-download Odyssey app. Fates brought something up, and we talked to him about it because it's going to be a story next week with the Bills facing the Texans. The comments Josh Allen keeps making about the team being unselfish and the guys not caring about stats. Whether or not that's a thinly veiled jab at his former teammate, who he'll face next week. And Fate said, yeah, I think it is. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. And he is taking shots.
He's not going out of his way. I want to kind of point that out. If the question is, wow, you completed 10 different receivers tonight and 6 different guys scored, tell me more. It's serving it up on a platter,
yes.
right?
But I guess where I was going with this is he also knows, because he mentioned it multiple times this week, we're going up against a 2-time MVP. We're going up against a 2-time MVP. These guys, if you want them to be competitive, you want Lamar Jackson to say.
Who was the MVP last year? Was it Lamar Jackson or was it Josh Allen? Because everybody, our show included, had written the Buffalo Bills off. I'm listening to the Boomer Esiason show on the Infinity Sports Network Thanksgiving weekend, and they go down the AFC contenders, and they get to Team 11. And Buffalo isn't even mentioned.
Yeah.
They're not even mentioned.
They were bad.
They were bad.
Yeah.
And because MVP, you have to have this narrative going. Yeah, we like Josh Allen, but, yeah, we really didn't like it back in October, November. No, the Bills wouldn't have made the postseason without Josh Allen. This is setting up. If he wins against Lamar,
please. I mean, you know what's coming. It's the chatter's only going to get louder and louder. And then it's, there'll be another test, Kansas City down the road, and there'll be another test, the Niners. There'll be all these little landmines and tests in front of them, and how do you respond to that? If you're Josh Allen and you know that this is something you're trying to achieve, because ultimately it will get your team to where you need them to be, yeah, you have to rise up. You have to play really good against teams like the Ravens, teams like the Jets, teams like the Chiefs. And we've seen him play good games against these teams. We know he's got that in him. So will be fascinating. And yes, if the Bills do find a way to win on Sunday night, boy, those MVP chants are going to get a little bit louder the next time they're playing in Orchard Park.
Yeah, I mean, I know the team won't look at it this way. We sure as heck can in the sports bar. It's this 3-game stretch. If you get 2 of the 3, you're golden. And what's the most important of the 3? And without doubt, it's the Jet game, right? But what's the second most? I think for the psyche of this team, you have to beat Houston. I would never say that's a must-win or whatever, but after everything that happened, do you really want to see Steph Diggs get 2 touchdowns next week? And I know I'm jumping ahead here, Danger. But to me, if you win this game, is it crazy talk to think the Bills could actually be undefeated the next time we see them?
No, it's not crazy talk. In fact, you say Steph Diggs getting 2 touchdowns against the Bills. What would be poetic is Steph Diggs getting 2 touchdowns against the Bills and the Bills still winning. That would be poetic. That would be, that's kind of the way it goes. You got yours. Congratulations. We got ours. I might make that prediction for next week. Maybe Diggs gets more than 1 touchdown, and the Bills still find a way to win. In Houston. Yeah, that might be interesting.
The thing that's surprising to me, that doesn't have the feels of a 1:00 Sunday game. That's where the Bills are right now.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. And they can't start flexing games right away, can they?
No.
That would be fun. So again, we're ready. Week 4 of the NFL has gotten underway. The Cowboys dispatch of the Giants, who can't find a way to get into the end zone. Brian Daboll. I mean,
he looks good.
This is your wheelhouse, pal.
He looks good. I mean, Brian, maybe just go to Old Country Buffet or whatever it is.
Stop. He's healthier. He's going to live.
Maybe that's what he needs.
He's got like 17 kids. He's healthier.
He needs carbs. He needs more in his diet.
No. Brian Daboll, don't listen to my co-host here. You keep living a healthy lifestyle the way you've been doing. That's what you should be doing.
It's not me. Timmy writing to me.
Tim in San Diego.
We need Fat Daboll back.
Stop, Tim. Stop. So the guy makes a choice to live a healthier life, and you're going to say that that's the reason why they can't score touchdowns? Come on. I mean, we all remember Brian Daboll falling forward in the Miami game when Josh Allen's pass went just short for Charles Clay. Remember that? It was like one of those Weeble wobbles. He fell forward and kind of sprung back because he's just almost like a teeter-totter. the way he fell. Jolly old man. Yeah, the Giants can't get over on the Cowboys, and they continue to struggle. High ankle sprain for Michael Parsons and a concussion from league neighbors. So
I'm going to ask you a straight-up question, Danger. There could be 2 4-0 teams that none of us would have had. Which is the more unexpected? Minnesota potentially at 4-0, or the Pittsburgh Steelers who get the Colts this week as a road favorite. Pittsburgh favored by 2. Potentially the Steelers at 4-0. Which would be the bigger surprise?
I think the Vikings would be the more surprising, but Pittsburgh having a good run here early in the season is not surprising to me. I mean, we looked at this schedule for the Steelers, and it doesn't get tough until you get later into the season.
But does it? Because now all of a sudden, it's Cleveland, and sure, it's a rivalry game.
Yeah. AFC North divisional games, man, those are always tough. Those are never easy. They're never going to, it's never going to be easy to beat the Bengals or the Ravens, despite what their record is for Pittsburgh. That's just, and Steeler fans know I'm right on this. I mean, you know that they're going to play their divisional games real tight, that there's very little chance that they're going to run away with and sweep the division here later when their schedule gets tougher. But Minnesota, if they do find a way to 4-0, and let's say Detroit doesn't hold their end of the bargain, I mean, you're talking about a 2-game lead through 4 weeks in the NFC North for the Vikings. Sam Darnold, comeback player of the year, playing unbelievably for the Vikings. They got to go to Lambeau this week, and we'll see how that goes. I kind of like Green Bay's chances this weekend against Minnesota at Lambeau, especially if Jordan Love is back on the field and healthy. Well, he won't be healthy, but he could be back on the field. We got a round of shots coming up next. Nikola Jokic has given us a gift. Man, after hearing what he said yesterday actually, after hearing this, I'm convinced it's Denver's championship to lose. This is exactly what you want Jokic to be going into the season and through the season. Can't wait to share this with you. What else we got coming up during shots?
We got some hot uniform talking baseball. I know baseball Danger is in final weekend of the regular season, but what are we really talking about? We have the first team to unveil a second City Connect. First one went so well, but it's debatable whether they should do this or not.
If you're talking about the Padres, I'm not listening.
It's not the Padres.
Okay. Those are the worst uniforms. Their City Connect, the worst uniforms, not just in baseball, not just in professional sports, in the history of professional sports. That's the antithesis of hot uniform talk. All right, so you'll unveil that. We'll get into some hot uniform talk here with a round of shots. And your calls for last call as well. You can join us at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
Sports Update.
No surprises on the Bills' Friday injury report. Everyone good to go, with the exceptions of Taron Johnson and Terrell Bernard. Both have been ruled out. Sean McDermott has respect for John Harbaugh.
Yeah, very well coached. John's had a lot of success for a number of years, and we coached together in Philadelphia for a number of years, and so I know he's a great coach, and not surprised what he's been able to do with that organization.
Bills and Ravens, our pregame coverage begins at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Chris Brown, Eric Wood, Sal Capaccio have your call Sunday night here on the Fan Rochester. Syracuse football kicking off at noon tomorrow against the College of the Holy Cross. We got St. John Fisher football tomorrow as the Cardinals are at Wilkes. Our coverage will begin at 11:30. Baseball's final weekend of the regular season. The Yankees hosting the Pirates. The Mets are in Milwaukee. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
Epic victories, heartbreaking defeats. No matter your team, no matter your game, we talk sports. The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome back to the Sports Bar, kicking off your sports weekend on the Fan. Danger and Battaglia with a round of shots.
Yeah, as your college football, this is the best week to date, right? Highlighted by number 2 Georgia at number 4 Alabama. Stats you might have heard already. First time Alabama is a home underdog since 2017. Although that line has gone from 2.5 down to 1. Georgia now down by 1, or favored by 1, I should say. And Alabama, for that matter, they've taken 8 of the last 9 against Georgia. That's 7:30 tomorrow night on ABC. Other games starting off with the noon window. Not great in the noon window, but you do get number 12 Michigan taking on Minnesota. That's at noon on Fox. The late afternoon window sees Notre Dame, number 16, against number 15 Louisville. Not on NBC. That's on Peacock only. Over on CBS at that same time, Wisconsin taking on USC. That'll be 3:30 for the kickoff there. We also have an interesting one in the late afternoon window here as Colorado is at UCF. That's at 3:30 on Fox. The weather could be a factor in this one for Coach Prime. You have the primetime games, too, and then we used to call this Pac-12 after dark. Well, the Pac-12 isn't there, but these are still the same teams, right? 10:15 on ESPN, Arizona at Utah. Number 8, Oregon taking on UCLA, 11 o'clock on Fox. They've canceled one game already, Liberty and Appalachian State.
Speaking of UCLA, Pete chiming in on X at the Fan Rochester, saying from our conversation earlier that if Joe Brady were to leave the Bills, Eric Bieniemy leaves UCLA to be Buffalo's OC. Pete, I don't want that. I do not want that. No, he is where he is. He belongs where he belongs. I don't think that that's a guy you want as your offensive coordinator in Buffalo. I'll just put it that way.
There's something with Eric Bieniemy. Why? I don't know what it is.
What makes you think that he's equipped to do that at the NFL level without Andy Reid as his right hand? Because he didn't work in Washington.
Right, and I admire how he bet on himself.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That would shock me, and I don't know that would necessarily be. Well, let's let it play out here at UCLA, and we can have additional data points on Eric Bieniemy. But what we saw last year in Washington, not great. Not great.
Not great, Bob.
No, the culture of the Buffalo Bills is you grind, you get promoted from within. Ronald Curry would be the next off, even though he's never done it before.
Just to recap, P.J. Glasser's best bets for college football from earlier this week. He had Auburn in the points against Oklahoma. Penn State covering -19 against Illinois. He likes North Carolina and the points against Duke. And he's going to take Bama with the points, but he likes the under in Alabama, Georgia as well.
Things went well in Oakland yesterday, as well as you could expect. We were getting off the air. I'm driving home. I'm listening to JR Sport Brief, and they're bringing the comments live on the air from manager Mark Kotze. I'm like, oh, they did the right thing after all, where the A's players were on the field tipping their caps to the fans that stayed behind. Kotze and others making comments, and that's it. So for the first time since 1960, Oakland is now without professional sports. That the Raiders have left, the Warriors are left, and now the Oakland A's are a thing of the past.
There's still a part of me, it's a small part of me, that is holding out hope that this isn't real, that this still could work, that there's still a way that the A's remain in Oakland. It's not going to be great for baseball. It's certainly not going to be great for any of the players. And I think, look, ultimately what's going to happen is this a-hole owner is going to get what he deserves, which is a product that's competing every night with Cirque du Soleil and very few people enjoying his already hard-to-watch product in an environment that's impossible to enjoy baseball.
Instead of getting comped a drink ticket, are you going to get comped Oakland A's baseball
No
tickets?
question.
Yeah,
no question. You're just handing out tickets, not to fans. You're just handing out tickets. And you get what you deserve. There's a couple of stories from this week. This is one of them, the story of the quarterback from UNLV leaving. It's like, if you're a college program and you're making promises that your butt can't cash, you get what you deserve. I mean, like the college athletics has changed so much now with NIL, and schools know, like, we can recruit these guys, we can lure these guys in, we can sell the sexiness of our program, whether it be because of our refurbished locker rooms or whatever it might be, or we'll take you out to dinner with the cheerleaders, whatever it is, and it doesn't work out, you get what you deserve.
There was a detail danger following up on that UNLV quarterback where they tried to save this at the 11th hour when this didn't catch him by surprise. It was more like, hey, I'm going to leave unless we make this right. Okay, well, the collective had a deal worked out with a casino, which makes sense. And here's your $100,000. There's a problem with that, though. The NCAA, that's a no-no. Like, there are limitations to NIL. So you're not going to have, hey, this is Kyle McCord and come down to Turning Stone. No, you can't do that.
No?
They're not going to let you do that.
They haven't fully embraced legalized sports wagering yet, have they, in the NCAA?
They have not. The final weekend in baseball, there's not much drama here. Yankees won last night. They're the AL East champs. The Dodgers won last night. They're the NL West champs. So all 6 divisions are wrapped up. And the wild cards, Detroit, their magic number is at 1 to get into the postseason.
Can they beat the White Sox, the red-hot White Sox, the surging Chicago White Sox?
As Rome would say, don't ruin our dream here.
That's what I want, man. Yeah, come on, Chicago, just roll over.
The story here, obviously, is the National League wild card, where the Mets tonight are in Milwaukee. You've got the Braves hosting the Royals. The team that's kind of in the middle that could sway the whole thing, the Diamondbacks. Now, the Diamondbacks are taking on the Padres. We should know, the Padres, really, they don't have anything to play for. They're going to be locked in as the top wild card, so they're going to host one of these teams. So do the Padres want to go ahead and eliminate the Diamondbacks themselves? 3 straight losses for the Diamondbacks, they're out. Or what if the Arizona Diamondbacks win some games here and it's in between? It's a big old mess.
Now, the Braves had moved their games to Monday with the Mets, but the storm has gone through. They're able to play tonight?
I'm going to check what the status of that game is right now.
You're going to get a triple header on Sunday with that series?
Yeah.
I mean, the weather there doesn't seem like it's gotten – I mean, it's not as intense as it was 24 hours ago, obviously. But
it's still on. Max Fried on the mound, 7:20 first pitch tonight.
Okay.
Atlanta minus 185 in the money line against the Royals. The Royals, by the way, 1 win and they would be in too.
Okay.
So they have something to kind of play for. Maybe more interesting to some, hot uniform talk here in the sports bar as we are, the Yankees never did the City Connect thing, but every other team has kind of gone through. So now it's time to start with a second City Connect. And there's going to be a team that's going to unveil a second City Connect at some point. You would figure that would be right, around the holiday season. The Boston Red Sox.
Really?
The yellow and light blue get up. From us on the outside, I think that's
they wear that on Patriots Day.
They wear them quite frequently now.
Okay.
They're so popular. They're selling so well. They're going to keep that in the rotation. Major League Baseball only lets you have so many tops there, so they're going to retire the navy blue top in Boston, and they're going to unveil a new City Connect. I can't even imagine what the City Connect
So
will be.
the yellow remain in play, the navy blue goes away, and then they're going to add a third City or the second City Connect jersey, which will be their third.
Mm-hmm.
I think this feels like a mistake. I don't like this at all. I mean, the yellow makes no sense at all. I don't understand.
You're sounding like baseball.
Is there a story behind the yellow and blue for the Red Sox?
That's the yellow. It's the Boston Marathon.
So they wear
it's in the font is in the city of Boston. So.
Okay, so they wear it on Patriots Day, the Boston Marathon Day, and that's a tradition, and I don't want to take anything away from that tradition, and I think that's fine, but they want to wear it now more frequently. Okay, great, but the navy blue is a good look. The navy blue with the red lettering, it's a good look. They're
I know.
Whatever they're going to bring out isn't going to be as good as the navy blue with the red. I'm not trying to be baseball writer here and talk about tradition. It's just what looks good, what's appealing to the eye. You're the Boston Red Sox, man. This isn't something you need. You don't need a gimmick to sell jerseys. You're the Boston Red Sox. I know we've got some Red Sox fans that have to have takes on this. This can't happen.
I look, Danger. I'm very, very surprised that, baseball writer would totally agree with you on this here.
Oh, really? Do you think baseball writer I wonder if baseball writer is available. Like, do you think baseball writer is somewhere waiting in line to go to a Bruce Springsteen show, or is there, what exactly could baseball writer be up to on a Friday night leading into? Hey, it's our friend baseball writer. How are you, baseball writer?
I've never been more proud of you, Mike Danger. There should only be 2 uniforms in baseball, a home and a row. And the idea that you're putting in all these teams in the last week of the regular season is completely meaningless. You don't know what it means to have a pennant chase and how exciting that can possibly be.
This isn't exciting to you this final weekend where you have still some teams. I mean, if you didn't have the expanded playoffs, baseball writer, we wouldn't have anything to talk about this weekend.
Oh, no. What are you talking about? We could talk about the 1983 Baltimore Orioles. That was my favorite team of all time, with Rochester's own Joe Altobelli. How come you don't talk about Joe Altobelli?
Yeah, you're right, baseball writer. We should spend more time talking about Alto. All right, well, while we have you, I mean, just for a moment, baseball writer, can I get a verdict on the decision to go with the doubleheader on Monday, an off day, to kind of decide what happens there with that final NL wild card with the Mets and the Braves?
I love it. It reminds me of 1980 when the Houston Astros and the LA Dodgers played one game to decide it all, except they were not really deciding it all. They were deciding a wild card game. If it were me, you would only have the Phillies and the Dodgers playing together, and you would only have the Yankees and the Astros. Let's kind of get right to it and stop with all these meaningless wild card games. The baseball season is 162 games, Mike Danger. That's the beauty of it. Not everybody should get in. And to hear you today talk about uniforms the way anybody that wears a yellow Red Sox jersey, you just don't know the history of baseball.
Ray, I will say this. I'm dubbing baseball writer Ray. His name is Ray, just so I can say that the one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
You say that facetiously.
I do
you
not.
know
I do
James
not.
Earl Jones. Every time I watch James Earl Jones deliver that, a tear comes to my eye.
Well, yeah.
And I wanted to go put on my 1800s baseball outfit and walk out of a cornfield, too.
Thanks for your time, baseball writer. Enjoy your weekend. Postseason's
You too,
coming.
Bear.
Yeah, there he is. Ray, baseball writer. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. Baseball has marked the time. I'm not doing him justice. I can't do James Earl Jones. That guy's a legend. But I knew I could get to baseball writer with a little quote from Field of Dreams.
I'm proud that you knew who Ray was. Ray Kinsella.
It's a movie.
You never watched it.
It's a
you knew
movie.
Ray Kinsella.
No, it's a movie that I've not sat down and watched from start to end, but it's on all the time. So I've seen so many little pieces of it that I know the gist of it. I get what's going on here. Like, and there's just the characters just kind of piss me off in that movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like, who's the redheaded beard?
The
brother.
Brother, yeah.
He's a jerk. He's a complete jerk.
That's his role.
Yeah, he's a complete jerk. I don't like the character. I don't like how he's portrayed. I don't like I just think he's a jerk.
Oh, the whole thing's weird.
Yeah.
Let's admit that. Let's not bury the best thing we have in shots here today.
You're right, man.
This is the time of year where we kind of look past some things. For example, the Sabres open the season next Friday. You had a captain for the Sabres. You also have NBA training camps beginning to open, which means, well, some teams do this, Mike Danger. They open up inviting in reporters and the like. They call it Media Day.
Ah, yes, Media Day. All right, so in Denver, Media Day, how does Nikola Jokic handle Media Day, I wonder?
Nikola, welcome back. First and foremost, this is your 10th Media Day of your career. It's a round number. Like, what do you remember about maybe your first or second Media Day coming around here? Has anything changed at all?
No, every year is the same thing, and I don't know why we're doing it every year. Everything is the same, completely the same thing. So,
as maybe your
Nikola, one thing that has changed on Media Day, you have a very strong beard or goatee. I was wondering if you're planning on keeping that, and do you like the menacing look?
I need more compliments, Marlon, more compliments.
To scare the opposition.
Yes, that's changed, yeah. But it's going to go probably away pretty soon.
He is angry. He's in postseason form. Go ahead and take it right now. Nuggets are winning the NBA championship this year. With that guy being salty already?
I don't know who the reporter's teeing up. That's the same guy who asked him about the parade, is it not?
Sounded like it.
It sounded like it. Because he's asking the question, and before, it's almost like he's trying to keep a straight face, knowing that he's setting up Nikola to just
go off.
Go off. Yeah.
We remember this from last year.
You said after the Lakers win, you said you were surprised that you didn't feel more. So I'm curious what you are feeling right now, and if you're looking forward to a parade coming up in Denver.
When is parade? When is parade?
Thursday.
No. I need to go home. Okay.
He's the best. He's the best. He's the best. I don't know why we're doing this. It's the same thing every year. Why
Can
are we
you play
doing
that
this?
again?
Yes, absolutely.
Nikola, welcome back.
Same
first
guy.
And foremost, this is your 10th Media Day of your career. It's a round number. Like, what do you remember about maybe your first or second Media Day coming around here? Has anything changed at all?
No, every year is the same thing, and I don't know why we're doing it every year. Everything is the same, completely the same thing. So,
as maybe your
Nikola, one thing that has changed on Media Day, you have a very strong beard or goatee. I was wondering if you're planning on keeping that, and do you like the menacing look?
I need more compliments, Marlon, more compliments.
To scare the opposition.
Yes, that's changed, yeah. But it's going to go probably away pretty soon.
Don't shave the goatee, man. Keep that thing. Yeah, be a little bit more of a menacing force. Let's go. Yeah, that's too good. He's in postseason form, man. Jokic hates the parade, hates Media Day. What do you think he's going to do when he gets on the court? He's going to maul.
I mean, if we ever had a category of like best sequel when it comes, because we keep all these sounds for like take of the year, we have to nominate that for take of the year, right?
Yes.
It's the same thing year after year. We're here again, Media Day.
Yes. I'm gonna make sure we earmark that one for take of the year consideration. We've got some pretty good nominees so far for take of the year. We've got some Maggie Gray knocking Philly around a little bit. We've got Thor calling for the firing of Fontenot in Atlanta. Tiger Woods got in the act. I think right now, though, if I had to predict,
we're not there yet. We still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet. We'll do that on Monday.
It's tough. That's tough. That's going to be tough to beat. Trent Baalke.
I can't go with a Bart as a take of the year.
No, you're right. The take of the year is probably probably Galveston.
Yeah, Galveston.
It's probably Chuck talking about the Pelicans going to Galveston.
Disappointed in New Orleans. Where they going, Chuck? Galveston. That dirty ass water. We're not even gonna sit into Cancun. We're gonna sit into Galveston where that dirty ass water be washed up on the shore. You people think they're in the beach. Y'all gonna send y'all to Cancun. Y'all drive y'all quit. Drive your ass down to Galveston. Come on, man.
So they're not taking a little.
Come on, they didn't even try, man. No, we're not getting them no plane ticket to the beach. We send their ass to Galveston, Texas, right where that dirty water washed up on the beach. They can't even get in the water.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's tough to beat. It's going to be tough to beat for take of the year. But when Jokic with a strong entry. Don't know why we're doing this. It's the same thing every year. That's it for this afternoon in the Sports Bar. We hope you enjoy your weekend. If you missed Andy Behrens from Yahoo Fantasy or Sean Merriman, ex-NFL linebacker, you can get those conversations wherever you get your podcasts. Just search out the Sports Bar in the free-to-download Odyssey app or wherever you get your shows. Jano and I are off to Hilton. Friday Night Rivals on the CW Rochester. McQuaid, Hilton tonight. We'll be back on Monday with a new episode starting at 3. JR Sport Brief next on the Fan Rochester.